it's the one that's not great. It's not just like, I'm gonna have to get that because our house is right, you know. So there's nothing out there. And my husband let her out with the time she was like, whoa. And they didn't push out away, then she was right here. She lost it.
All right, we're gonna start right now, guys. My name is Kevin Mill. I've been in business for 4.5 years-ish right now. Always with Keller Williams. I did primarily buyers. I worked with a lot of buyers and stuff. First couple of years in the business. And I have the pleasure of also working with Carla. I find her home as well. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about finding and winning buyers. So just kind of a poll for right now, like how many people are brand new in the business right now, have not sold real estate at all? Okay. And then how many people have been in here like 1 to 2 years? Okay. And then everybody else. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, you guys had some homework and stuff that was supposed to be due from last time. How did that go?
I wasn't here.
Okay, you had some of it.
I wasn't here.
Oh, you weren't here. Okay, those that were here and did the homework, what did you guys learn? Because didn't you have a list of stuff that you need to have done?
We had videos to watch.
Yeah, it's really just videos. You're 10-4.
10-4.
Just making about phone calls, making 10 contacts, talking to 10 people, writing out cards, things of that nature.
Okay. And then you had from last time too. You guys talked was sell your listing, which was the course before.
Yeah,
Sell your listing.
Okay.
Okay. So in between that, what kind of takeaways did you guys bring with you from last week to this week? Is there anything that you kind of felt that you learned throughout that week, doing your calls and doing those action items?
One thing that stuck out to me is that your job is not to make a decision for them, it's to guide them to make great decisions.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people go in and think, I can make them do this, and this, but what you have to do is give them the information and let them decide.
Okay.
So guide them to make great decisions.
That's
And
exactly.
that could be true with buying.
Yep. 100% of the time. 100% of the time. Okay. So, you guys did the 10-4s, right? Are we doing okay on contacts and stuff? I mean, how many people are we reaching out to? Are we getting there with the numbers at all? No?
I have a different job.
Okay.
I at this full time.
Okay.
I really want to have an opportunity to meet people, that's crucial.
Yeah, absolutely, it's crucial.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's there again. It's going through everybody, all your old contacts and things like
Yeah, I'm
that.
going through, my, friends and relatives, people I know, yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we're gonna start here. So full transparency, my dad had a health issue that I had to take care of this past weekend. I was ping-ponging around with them, so we're gonna kind of go through the slides and stuff. You'll probably be able to help you guys out where need be, and then I'm gonna kind of add them on and highlight on some different portions just the same. Okay? So there we go. All right. So again, we talked about the expectations of today. All right. Really, what we're going to be doing is we're going to teach how to find buyers, qualify and schedule buyers for the consultation, and then educate your buyers and set service expectations with them. Okay. Learn and practice your buyer consultation as well. We're also going to ask for the buyer agreement to be signed, and then establish the next steps on where to go from there. Okay. So how many people that have been in the business and you're working with buyers, how many, like you guys always set consultations? Do you just say, hey, how does that work for you guys?
I haven't done a consultation for a buyer yet. It's
Okay.
it came off of either the listing, which they've already hired me for,
Yep.
or it was a friend.
Gotcha. So they already had some
They
type
already
of
had a relationship.
a relationship before. So they obviously know and trust you, and loyalty is a big thing when handling like that type of a transaction, right?
For sure.
I've had a few people that I didn't know, they're like friends of my sons or whatever. And I
Okay.
pretty much have talked to them over the phone and then set them up with, in the co-ed center, what they're looking for, and then we can start with houses.
Okay. Okay. Lou, what about you?
Well, with my limited experience of working with buyers throughout the few years that I've been in the business, we've been trained from day one is to seat out everybody. That means come into the office.
Mm-hmm.
However, some people think that the office is like our office and they have to meet us here. My office is everywhere, whether it's the office here, their house, or if you happen to call me and you want to take a look at a property, whatever, I'm going to kind of screen you over the phone a little bit first to kind of get to know you.
Yep.
And then I'm going to meet you at a house, so I don't mind showing you one or two homes. That's kind of breaking the ice with you, and that way I can get a feel for what you're looking for. And then I start going into my presentation with you at that point in time. Go over agency disclosure, how I work as realtors, you know, things of that nature. And I get probably about 99% of the people I work with under a contract with me.
Okay. By doing it that way?
Yeah,
Okay.
because it makes them, they're comfortable with that. You know, because a lot of times agents try to get out there and get them to sign a contract immediately.
Yeah.
And I find that that's turned people off because
I agree.
their defensive walls for some reason.
They're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I wouldn't, you know, I'd be lying if I didn't say, hey, there's those buyers and stuff out there. They're like, hey, you know, I gotta go see a home right now. Okay, well, it's resetting those expectations, and I think that once you've gotten burned a couple times about doing that, then you start reanalyzing, hey, what else could I have done to make sure that this doesn't happen again, right? Because let's face it, I mean, your time is valuable, my time is valuable. I want to make sure that you have a great transaction the whole entire time. So what we're going to do is we're going to explain, you know, the type of lending, right? I don't know if you can still purchase the home right now, so let's talk a little bit more about the financial side. Go through your pre-qualification scripts, and you know, the reason why too you want to have them come to the office is not only just, hey, you know, you show them and say, hey, look at this great office, right? It's safety, guys. Safety first and foremost. I mean, if you've never met somebody before, if it's at a public location, you're walking through a home, you don't know, and especially if you work alone, you know, or if you're part of a team, you let people know where you're at, right? I mean, you don't have to, you know, you can, a year doesn't go by where it's not a scary story about an agent, right? Yeah.
I had my orientation with the Russell Board of Realtors.
Yeah.
Thursday, I think. The guy, this is Kevin Brennan, he's one of the top guys. He said, never, without exception, never go to a stranger's home.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that made it very difficult to do a lot of things, to meet a seller or a buyer. I think they expect that now, that you're gonna go to their home. So I was pretty shocked to hear him say that.
With I would say you have to be able to get a lot of tangible information on them, right? I mean, you got the address, even letting somebody know, like you have partners and stuff at night, you let the main market center know, hey, I've got an appointment here from this time to this time. Let your spouse know, let your friends, family, whoever, have that point of contact just to say, hey, I just want to let you know I'm here. I'll let you know how the appointment goes once I get them to sign the agreement.
I had someone call and I called Steve about it. It was, it was about 2 months ago, something like that.
Yeah.
I had some guy call me and he got my number off Facebook. It was really weird on the phone, and saying he wanted to look at the house and everything, and I just got a really weird feeling from him. So I told him, I'm like, are you pre-approved? And he said no. So I gave him Steve's number. He never called. Me and Valerie looked him up. There was no such person.
Yeah, well, I called him a couple of times and I emailed him whatever information you gave just to see if I could get him to call me to figure out who he was or.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would, try to get to meet with him or whatever.
Yeah.
He wouldn't respond,
Yeah, there's a couple things I think that like and it's transitory across the whole business, right? Go 3 layers deep with all your questioning, right? Mm-hmm. If you say I'm pre-approved, okay, great, who are you pre-approved with? Oh, what's their name and what type of financing do they go over? You know, did they explain to you why that's important? You know, if you're sending over a receipt, why is it important to do X, Y, or Z? You want to have that level of communication
And
across
if
the
you
board.
do, like, I'm glad to go with you guys too, so, like, I don't want to, especially, you know.
Oh, that guy would
Ever want to be with you.
I
I
was
saw something on Facebook this week, I think,
Yeah.
some realtor or something
Was shot.
had a knife pulled out or something, I think she shot him.
Yeah.
I hope she.
Yeah, so I don't want that to happen to anybody or anybody else here. You know, I mean, I just want you guys to be prepared and stuff for that. So make sure if it is, have them come to the office, because then that way, you know, if you even get like a copy of their license, right? That's important because they're going to have to make copies of it later down the road, later times throughout the process and whatnot. But just having that extra sense of security, I think.
And that's the first thing he asked for, right? Like,
Exactly.
yeah, so, you know, there's a vetting process there.
So it's like, and then the more time, like, it's not saying that, you know, you go and show them homes, like, you'll get the Zillow calls or something, and they call them like the Pop-Tart agents, like, hey, you know, I'm here in front of the house, I want to see the house. Okay, I'll be there in 5 minutes. Oop, right? No, that doesn't happen. You want them to come in the office. It's one of their biggest financial investments that they're going to be making in their life. So you want to act professional and make sure that you're taking all the due diligence forward, right? I mean, you go to a doctor's office and you fill out a form, a questionnaire. They tell you all your medical history, and then they identify, okay, well, this is where it is. But maybe the doctors don't necessarily go 3 questions deep when finding a home and maybe some medical terms and all that other stuff. So, cool on that? Okay. Oh shoot, we did some of this stuff. So contacts, did we have our contacts? And we already talked about that, right? Everybody's got everything. Videos, okay? How many people watch the videos? Yeah, what did you guys think? What did you like about it? What did you not like? Someone other than Carla.
No, it's very informative. It's about staging and the different buyers that you, or excuse me, the different sellers you may have. Somebody who's just completely opposed to staging, somebody who's, you know, and then someone all for it, and how you would script and role play with those different sellers, and how it can benefit them, how the price can get a little more for their money. It was very.
Yeah. And obviously a lot of them are transitory, so you're gonna find that a lot of times people when they're looking to sell homes, right, what's the best thing that you can do, right? If you're working with a lot of buyers, right, if you put that in the frame of reference, okay, well, I work with many different buyers, I know and understand, I've been through these different types of homes, this is how it will help kind of show. Make sure you have room for 3 or 4 people to walk through, families to be able to walk through, and it doesn't feel too cluttered, right?
No, it makes sense because they're like, kind of super clean, you know, a nicely displayed home.
Yeah.
Cluttered, built up, each home are the buyers that can visualize themselves. And which one are they more apt to put an offer on?
Yeah, exactly. So this is kind of brings another thing to my attention too. So I want to make sure that this is a great class for you guys, okay? So what type of questions were you guys looking to even get out of this Ignite session here? What questions do you have initially?
Finding the buyer, where to find the buyer.
Where, right? So where to find them?
Well, what I asked you before class is, you found a buyer, what are the procedures, especially for new people, just a
Checklist?
Step-by-step procedures of getting them from introduction to a closing.
Okay.
I do have one. Can you send me your email? I'll send it to you.
Cool. Do you want to send that to, well, you can't send it to the whole Ignite. Everybody scan their little badge.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did like my first buyer, my first listing, I'm a checklist person.
Yeah.
I have a whole checklist of everything that in order, kind of like what you need to do.
Yes.
And then you add to it and I keep notes and everything, but I don't know how I would do it without.
Yeah.
So.
If you want if you wanted to send that to me, my email is up here, and then anybody that attended today, if you scan your card and stuff,
Yeah.
make sure I'll get that out to you.
Okay.
Okay?
And if you find anything wrong with it.
Oh yeah, I'll let you know.
Let me know.
Absolutely. All right. What other questions? What other things do you guys want to get out today?
I think it's important. I'd like to learn how to stay in control of what you take to see, because they just like send you 10 addresses. They don't match any of the criteria that they gave you. And how do you say, like, how do you weed it out without offending them?
Okay.
Because I had that issue. I showed like 60 properties to a woman who still hasn't bought, so.
Okay,
Wow.
what other type of questions?
The big one I've got is, someone who's already working with another agent,
Yeah,
handling that whole situation, making sure you're not stealing someone's client.
well, they're under contract, right, and there's nothing else that you can really do,
Just
right?
tell the buyer straight out, look, I can't deal with you, you're under contract. What if they say, I'm very unhappy with this guy, I wanna change?
If they want
He's
to
doing-
change agents,
My agent's doing nothing for me, I'm anxious to buy a house, what should I do now?
I would say have a conversation with them, right, about, you know, their, I guess, like, you wanna find a little bit more about that whole situation. What about, were they not meeting their expectations of showing them houses, were they not? I would say dig into that a little bit more, but you're kind of getting into a little bit of a gray zone, I think, with that, because you're not acting as a representative of them, right? Say, if you wish to have a conversation around that, you know, we can talk about it, even have, you know, Doug, someone else in there to kind of navigate that through.
I think
You definitely don't want to be stepping on any other agents or anything like that.
a lot of them are working with someone, but they're not necessarily under contract, just like we do.
Yeah,
Like, I don't put
absolutely.
them all under contract. So
Yeah.
I think just to flat out ask them, have you signed a contract with another agent?
You're absolutely correct with that, absolutely. They may say I'm working with an agent, but they don't really know, or they have a contract with them. Right.
So you need to know that. And if there isn't a written contract, it makes the gray area more white.
Yes.
Yeah, I had this happen with my house, I just sold it. The buyer's agent asked if I could show my own house. I'm like, sure. So they came out, they didn't wanna work with them. They were trying to save money basically. And they wanted to work with me and have me do both sides. And I'm like, I don't know about that. And then I talked to their agent who was like a relative, and you could tell he was upset, and he's like, that's fine, if that's what they wanna do, I'm fine with that, whatever. And I'm like, this just doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah.
So I talked to Doug, and Doug's like, that, it's not right. He's like, I can't represent them, especially with my own house, you know what I mean? Because the selling agent and it's my own home, I can't. So I told him no. Even though I lost a lot of money by doing that, but it was the right thing to do.
That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, as realtors, we took code of ethics, right? That's right up there, right?
Yeah.
And you gotta be able to speak to that and say, hey, if you are working with someone, you know, I mean, put yourself in their shoes, would you
Absolutely.
want that same thing? But
Right.
there's a difference between someone not necessarily being like a true representative, or maybe even a person not even knowing what buyer agency means.
Yeah.
So you could ask them, did you guys sign a document, you know, agreeing to your relationship, right? How you're being represented. They say no, easy conversation, right? Hi, I'm your new agent, right? If not, if they are, then say, okay, well, you know, I'd have a conversation with them, talk about it, and you know, what's kind of getting in the way right now of you know, continuing a relationship with that individual, right? So you definitely want to be very cautious about that, okay? Your question. Anything else that you guys really want to get out of today?
Well, the funny thing that you have to be careful with on those buyer agency agreements and things of that nature is a lot of times the buyers aren't telling that they are under a contract. Even if you ask them if you're working with a professional to help you buy a home, and they said, no, I'm not, this is what I have. Then I would dig a little further and ask them, have you spoken with anybody and signed any documents or whatever? And no, I haven't. And then you start working with them, and then all of a sudden you get a phone call from another realtor and says, hey, are you working with so-and-so? Yeah. No, I have them under a contract. So, and it happens more frequently than not.
But that's where you want to definitely ask them
Well, I
or
do.
somebody, or, you know, how are you being shown homes, right? Who's showing you properties, right? If they can't give you a name, I mean, are they working with somebody? I don't know, you know. But if you have a written contract, I mean, that's where, you know, you're already
As I
fiduciary.
was stating, a lot of times buyers will lie to you and not tell you exactly what's going on. It happens in this industry. It's just a fact of life, guys. You know, not to say anything bad here, but that is reality, you know. And we do have to do everything that we can to try to protect everybody and follow our code of ethics, you know. But, and you find it a lot too, where they're extremely dissatisfied with the realtor that they are working with.
Yeah.
And that is the gray area, and that's where you need to have a discussion with your broker.
Yeah.
I think
that-
I'm not gonna throw business away. If they're really mad at Kevin and they refuse to work with him, I'm not gonna turn that buyer away. They have to work that out with them, because that's a contract that they have with that agent. And if that agent wants to go after them later for a commission, then that's between them. But if they refuse to work with that agent, nothing I can do about that.
Yeah,
it's just reality.
And really the whole process of having a consultation, like spending your time doing that, doing your due diligence, doing the pre-qualifying, that's all part of it so that you don't have that situation to begin with, right? So our job is to make sure that you guys don't, have a situation like we were sharing about right there. So
Yeah, knock on wood, it doesn't happen a whole lot, but it does happen.
yeah, I mean, I don't want to say anything in life, I guess, you can put it past you, right? I mean, everything's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Anything else? Is there anything else you guys want to get out of today? If we had answered all these questions, we'd have a great day, right?
Well, do you mind skipping up to page 46?
For skipping up?
Question? Is that going too far for you?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
If you do, keep it and we'll address it.
Oh,
So if it is, we'll go through this a little bit more. And there'll probably be like a couple more questions added to it, but I just want to make sure that we're doing well. All right. So gosh, man, I feel like this is a while. Did anybody preview homes at all? How many people previewed homes?
I did.
Okay. How did that go?
Interesting. We're looking for a flip. Colin and I are looking for a flip. So
Okay.
we landed 7 in the last 10 days.
So looking for yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Interesting.
Cool. They're very, very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been interesting for sure.
What about you? If you guys don't have your name cards, if you could put, Bill, there you go.
I'm sorry.
There you go. You're good.
I went to a couple open houses over the weekend,
Okay.
just to see, to be honest, I've never been to an open house, so I was kind of curious how it goes. I see people to step in on the KWL Facebook page, hey, we do an open house for me, et cetera. Well, I didn't know what to do or how to do it, et cetera, so I went and looked at a couple, and I seen some professional people and some very unprofessional people, and learned a couple things to do and a couple things not to do.
Like what?
One specifically, I walked in and the broker was standing at the door, never opened the door, just stood there, kept talking to someone else. I walked in, and the first thing he said to me was take off your shoes versus, hey, welcome, hello. And he was talking to another person. I guess he's a lawyer too. He was talking to another person about how to get her daughter out of state care. And had nothing to do with, and I was interested, well, he assumed I was interested in seeing this house that he's trying to sell.
Yeah.
And had zero interest in talking to me versus talking to other people, where other people met me at the door, opened the door, introduced themselves, said, have a drink if you're thirsty, there's stuff over here, enjoy yourself, and were very pleasant.
Yeah.
And it walked in kind of, okay, they want me here, I'm supposed to be here, and I feel okay being in here versus the other one. I'm walking around like, wow, should I leave? Should I not be here? So just greeting in general, just the way you can greet someone and make them feel comfortable. Yeah, make them feel comfortable walking into the place. So
That's good. I think previewing open houses is a great way to do it too.
I missed a lot of last week for other reasons, so I wanted to get out and do something, industry related. Why I couldn't be here last week, so. Did a couple of those. It was tough the one day because so much snow, but I was surprised how many were open the following day. So.
Yeah, it was definitely, it was a weird weekend.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So yeah, I think previewing homes is awesome, right? Not only is it going to give you guys experience, if you have a buyer that's looking for a particular criteria, maybe they don't have the necessary, like, hey, I can only see homes like 7 o'clock and on. Sweet, right? So that's where you have to go and preview a couple of properties and say, hey, I narrowed it down for you. I've actually took a tour through these 3 homes. This one smells like cat feet. This one's got shag carpet, whatever it is, and needs X renovations. you can kind of weed some of those properties out for your clients, right? And by doing open houses, it's a great way too to kind of just see how else everybody else works, right? So, and if maybe they are not with Keller Williams, we can say, hey, I'd love to show you how to do it and host an open house. Come over here and see what it's about, right? Okay, cool. So lead generating. So turn to page 8. I think it's the same page here. Just so you guys. Okay, so get out your call list. You guys have some calls to make too, right? You guys have a call. You guys bring a call list with you? Call people.
Yeah.
You did not bring a call list? Okay. Okay. So, how many people did bring call lists? Everybody else got them? You call. Whoa, jeez, a piece. Oh my God. We're done, guys. No, can they find out what I can find here? So. That's fun. I don't even know what button I hit. I don't know why it's scanning like this. If the key is stuck, maybe that's what it is. This is weird. I'm not sure why this is doing this, guys. All right. I don't know why it's doing this. Al, he's out of here right now.
Maybe you can just keep it like that.
Yeah, I might have to manually do it. I'm just gonna put this clicker down. It's not
Interesting.
All right, cool. Anyways, so you guys have the calls for 20 minutes, right? So it's 9:30 right now. So 9:50, we'll kind of reconvene. You have handwritten notes and stuff to do too. What is it doing with this?
Never seen that happen before.
I don't know. Maybe they got to a different level or something. Okay. We're gonna keep it up like this.
This call list, is this supposed to be made up of people you already know, or, like I said, I wasn't here last week, was this
I think it was just generated from the people that you had, that you're supposed to bring a list of people to work with, right? Or maybe people to reach out to, let them know, hey, just wanted to, say you guys have time aside, recently got married or whatever the case is. Like he's here, this is for renters, and they've got ones for newlyweds as well. Maybe giving some people a call, that's a script you can go through and dial as well.
okay, so I can just do this at my own date, that way, so.
Yeah.
I know. Okay. Thank you.
Appreciate you coming. Yeah, no problem.
I'm sorry, what was your?
Kevin.
Water, blue line of I see that on Facebook. We get calls 56295. I will be available after 12 o'clock today. This is Monday.
Is it follow-up calls and stuff that you can do too? all calls from people.
Do you just call or do text sometimes?
Depends. I mean, if it's really something quick, short.
Like if you think they're at work, I mean.
Yeah, we just send them a text. That's probably better.
That's
Yeah, and we'll kind of go into that a little bit more too about with even buyer consultations. You know, what's your best preferred method of communication? Because if someone says email and you're like, I don't do email.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, you have to-
that was a good point.
Yeah.
Because I forgot to do that with the buyer that I took out.
Yeah.
And so I'm like sitting here, should I email her, should I text her, should I call her? I know she's at work. So it is a good thing to
Yeah,
ask
Yeah.
them what
Yeah.
their preferred method is,
Yeah, that's how I feel like if I were at work, I would prefer someone to text me.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So I try to look at it that way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people don't look at it.
Hello? Hello? Hey, what are you doing? Yeah. Yeah, I'm at work right now. Hey, you just don't understand this. What's that? But she still does. How do they go? Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Kevin, when you were did you shadow someone first? How did you?
I shadowed a couple where it was like,
Hi Tammy, this is Lou Eiler, 586-295-4562. Just calling to see if you were able to get somebody to share everything about your house. Just kind of follow up things and also to see if you have any recommend you to go out on that for a while. We were looking at this one.
yeah.
You call me after
Yeah.
And she's selling her home. And I just reached out and said, hey,
Oh,
it
the shower yesterday.
Yeah.
It was in our main
So
house.
I want to contact her.
The house or?
But she gave me her address, and I wanted to get who's listing what they got with them, everything. So I want to call her, but I want to kind of get her.
Did you?
You don't see the house, who's representing herself, and call and say,
Yeah.
hey, get the property,
Big difference, but it's just a nice
contract,
Yeah.
or you want to buy something as well. You
My
have a
son's
purchase
good
agreement.
friends.
They don't want to call me saying, oh, I never seen the house.
And
I don't have
it's
it.
the
It's just
owners.
Okay. What's the address?
And my son's staying for the wedding.
Oh.
So for the Sunday.
Who was it?
I think that was him. You know that?
I know, you know.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
I didn't.
Okay.
Here's literally all the conversation I've had.
So about
So
you
I
know,
gotta go through the meeting, so I'm
Okay.
if you need anything, let me know.
I'm not sure.
I have the kids that are done, what the fuck,
Bob
brother,
was my son. Yeah,
and
and then David is his first husband. And David and Bobby.
Send me an address, and send it to my agency. I'm
Yeah.
just breaking this with
And
her
so
real
David
quick.
is married. So, yeah, Super cute.
Was it in this like in the?
It was in a barn.
Oh, in the barn.
And it was just so nice because it's, my son was 20. I mean, he's 27. Yeah, and it just was nice to like go on Saturday because it's been a long time.
Yeah, they're fun. Did they stay friends, so that's even cooler.
Oh yeah, they all stayed really good friends. So it was really nice to
Yeah.
and as my son was getting ready to go to his house. It's an issue, that's why he yeah.
Did you know that going in?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's actually living with his girlfriend who's right over the block. Yeah. So they had a couple of things to finish up doing. So I just wanted to help him with friends and stuff.
This is out there for
You know them? It's a friend of ours. My son and theirs are friends, but it's the mom.
Okay.
And she can't live on her own. So it's not.
That's really good.
I know, I thought about it. We haven't seen it yet.
So, well, I think it's 64 right now. That our hands, 17
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, people are looking.
You should have just left it with the first picture.
People will call me or text me and say,
If I were you, then that would be the one.
yeah, once it's done.
Yeah, for sure.
She is she's hospitalized.
160 or
So, kind of, you know, it's tricky. It's really like that. Mother-in-law, she's moving to third year, and both of them. And then, middle of February, I was trying to like, I'm not perfect. And she said, just like, order. And she's going to she said, probably another 6 weeks or so. And then, so we're there all this week. And it's not like you can rush it.
No, you can't.
They're like,
And
they're
so when you- so when I wanna get
I've got
involved with,
plans to work with her. She wanted to work with them. Show me her sister. And it was actually
Oh, okay.
and that's,
I've been showing her for a year, so I'm like, I'm not sure she's ready to do it again. And
they're
so,
friends.
yeah,
And
they're
the
family.
opposite is.
I would not be
Free from fire and showing.
well, I don't know.
I get you like what
How come
you
you
do.
with their
I just wanted to see how you guys are
Fine,
fun.
she's selling the house, but she got to buy a house too. So that's all I told her.
Yeah, but I told her, give me a call.
But he has money in the bank and he's for food
And should be available after 12.
I did my job, but and I didn't, he's a functioning drug addict.
I don't know if it has password or anything yet,
So
so
we
I
went
can't
to
get
study and
into
he's
it.
like, I don't have the money, and he tried to borrow it from his brother, but he can't be gifted, because he was,
I would get you
finished
this
that, and
for her.
already there.
Right.
He's been it. She wanted to do it.
Right.
So that was a year ago.
Yeah.
Just think about all those weekends and stuff like this. The whole time you knew.
Lou, what do you want to get out of this class today?
What's that?
What do you want to get out of this class today?
Maybe try to find buyers from a different source other than off of listings in open houses.
Okay.
Maybe through social media.
Yep.
How I've been working is I've been working with buyers that come out with my open houses and listings. And I haven't actively pursued buyers outside of that this past year because they just, I hate to say it, but they suck the life out of it. You know? They absorb 80% of my time.
So just trying to narrow down the timing on it too.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, so that's another
Motivation. That's definitely a big key factor.
Until after
Did you want to see where we can get?
Zero,
Yeah, I don't even know. I'll just show you where you can just look at it.
Say it again. So
People just use it for my own.
Yeah.
You know, they kind of have a little string, oh, just like this.
And it just. We stretch a lot.
Very good class. We'll still get
Hey, Howie, I talked to Jim Perkins the other day.
Oh, did you? How's he doing? Is it getting any better?
Yes.
Oh,
So if you see, so since she's towards the end of her contract,
You have a big mistake.
good.
what would be my goal there? Just get her
So is he
down a
getting ready
little
to
bit.
speak up?
Yeah, he is.
Oh,
Credit score went up
Oh, good.
a lot.
Oh, good. Hopefully he'll-
150 points.
Oh, good. He's such
He is.
But I'm saying, if the, let's just say the contract expired next week.
He's gonna call me
She
back.
wants me to sell the house. As you're looking at, you're looking at, you want to be in
I reached out to him not too long ago. He's gonna call me back. I forget exactly why.
if she and me was her.
He did what I told him on the credit, so
Personally interested in selling.
he went from 474 to 628.
Oh,
Okay, it's the way you're saying, it's the way you were like, oh, yeah, I didn't know if you were responding to this or the house in general, or.
No, I was needing reference, kind of like how we talked about before, with its agency relationship. Like,
6 months.
good.
5.5 months.
Vincent, he talked to you for quite a while. Thank you for talking.
So
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
10 days
He
ago,
was
is that
asking me all
what
these
you said?
questions and I'm like.
Did you run
So
Sarah?
she's probably.
Or,
So
Yeah.
it's fine, pending
I think
meetings.
it's worth,
But I mean, you can still
or
say.
whatever you guys do?
yeah,
At least
I don't remember what it was. I don't think it was like 220 like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was. I think it was,
Okay.
I don't remember the exact amount.
And then hopefully she's
I
buying
had
it.
somebody look at it.
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't have the dam, so I don't know. Like I told him, I don't worry about that, he was kind of,
It's
Set
definitely
it
worth a
up.
lot more than, because the one on the street sold for, I can't remember, but quite a bit more than the same house. Than what they
yeah,
did.
that's.
I think
The
that
guy
was
was
like,
185 or something.
yeah, it looks so nice. He did such a good job with that. He's almost done with that.
I got them running that, see if we can put it later. Otherwise, I got it else.
I was.
Okay, guys, seems like our call's done right now, you think?
Yeah.
Maybe? Yeah?
Thanks, then.
Okay, I'll let you finish up. How does calls go? Did you get any leads? Anybody?
I got one possible with my sister, she's gonna talk to her husband.
Left messages
Left messages, anybody else?
and text.
Alright, so this is gonna be a little different, but I'm gonna come back here. Alright. too, Steve is here today too. You know, he's helped actually with a loan that we had a while ago too. Great resource, and if you guys need leads or you need people to work with, lenders work with people that are qualified all day long, right? So maybe if there is something you say, hey, you know, I want to get a chance to understand your business and how that works, you know, and have a good partnership that way. I mean, it's great that he's here and kind of, you know, hanging out with us today. So he's here kind of answering questions on the home buying and purchasing side of it. But I think that I think you have to have multitude, right? A couple different lenders, right? By RESPA and all that stuff. Have a couple different people, a couple different sources to go to that you can have questions answered. We're going to get into a little bit deeper down the line, but qualifying is a huge, huge part of it. And you don't really necessarily want to be showing people homes if they're not qualified. They can't even purchase a home. So that's why you have to get in front of the right lenders, and you have to build that rapport, right? Good communication is key across the board, and compliment you on doing that with Tony, right?
Yeah.
Maybe for you or Steve, would you define the difference between pre-qualified and pre-approved?
Yes. Well, you can go ahead. I mean, realtor terms, right? Pre-approval is, hey, you just checked if you legally have to say, hey, we're going to give you something. Qualifies through, there's a difference between.
Well, pre-qualified is just basically me reviewing the information.
Yes.
I pulled credit. I would never issue even a pre-qualification without reviewing income, credit, and asset.
That's what we're doing tonight?
That's what we were doing tonight.
Pre-qualified.
Pre-qualified. A pre-approval letter would be through either, well, it all depends who's sending it. Not everybody does it legally. People send pre-approval letters without being really pre-approved. Pre-approved means they've gone through underwriting.
Okay.
So on new clients, such as the gentleman, your nephew we're meeting tonight, there's no way to make that happen right that moment. You have to upload all the information, you have to run it through the automated underwriting system. So it takes, you have to give it a dummy address. I mean, you throw it through Fannie Mae, Desktop Underwriter, or Freddie Mac. Then I can issue you a pre-approval letter. Jody Miller, that works here as well, called me last night and said, Steve, I think we're down to something. And she asked me the same question. She said, hey, can you send me this letter? So I got on the phone with the listing agent who happened to be in Florida. I talked to her and told her what we have, what I've done to this point. And then Jody asked me, any reason you sent me a pre-qualification letter rather than a pre-approval letter? I said, I did not. I don't have everything I need from you to run this file, but I'm glad to do that for you tomorrow morning if that makes the listing agent more comfortable. But, you know, I talked to her and told her, you know, the listing agents what we had and gave her the warm, fuzzy feeling. But those are the differences. If anybody's issuing you a pre-approval letter prior to underwriting that file, they're issuing the wrong thing. But I'm not saying, you know, it's a slap on the hand. Can you get in trouble? Technically, yes. Does it make the listing agent feel better about the letter? Well, I would think that it does, but it's, you know, they don't close until they close, right? And it all depends who's doing the pre-qualification.
Yeah.
And that you're really doing what you're supposed to be doing, because we will not, I don't care who it is, I will not send that letter without having those things. If there's credit issues, Holly and I are working on this guy for 6 months. Like, this is, you want a pre-approval letter? And I keep giving it to you. Like, it's not. We'll not waste. We have a reputation, right? Like, just like everybody else does. We're, you know, in the grand scheme of things, a small lender. So we cannot be wasting everyone's time. Our fall through or fall out is little to none.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I think it starts with that line of communication, and before you can be able to help somebody, you have to know what their situation is, right? You have like an intake form, right, that would help along with that. But it's also knowing, hey, do they need to sell their home in order to qualify, right? Where are we putting these puzzle pieces and these letters or variables all in?
So that was the question last night in that gallon quart. Pretty sure they qualified for. They have a house up north. They have a house here, and they're buying a county. Well, yeah, that's the whole piece of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't issue that without knowing that they qualify.
Yeah.
You know, from an income standpoint. Otherwise,
Exactly.
yeah. But I'm guessing that you guys get a lot of bad pre-approval letters.
Yeah.
Because everybody's so scared of them. That blows my mind. 26 years originating loans, I cannot believe the amount of fall through and the letters that you guys get from other lenders.
So what I think would be important though is to make sure that you do have lenders that you can reach out to that can actually give you the best communication back and forth, right? Because it's going to be ultimately your time, and your time is valuable, so you're not running around showing people homes and stuff. You say, hey, I want to make sure that you're 100% checked out, that these are the conditions that you still need to meet with, right? And hit, then get them taken care of. You still follow up with them from time to time and just say, hey, I just want to touch base with you. I still have people that are 2-3 years out, right? Because of that, you have to be able to follow up with them. But giving them talking points, right? Hey, I know you didn't qualify last time because you're still waiting to get 2 years of employment with your new job, right? So that's another thing. I think a lot of people.
We ask for a lot on the front side. I preach that through all of our employees, because then the fall through is little to none.
Exactly. So
the fall through is only on things that you can't control. But again, it's wasting people's time. Like, I can't believe the phone calls that I get that we're supposed to be closing, but we're not closing. I'm like, what do you mean you're supposed to be closing?
Exactly.
On Friday, I'm like, no, you can't. Like, it's not gonna happen like this. Shouldn't have came up now that what you're being told is wrong with that file.
Yeah, and that's really how you win with buyers too, right? Is you can find them all day long, but to really kind of lay out the roadmap for them, let them know, hey, what's going on. You need to make sure that you're talking with the right people, that you're getting qualified, making sure that you can say, hey, it's already gone through. It looks a lot better if you're calling the listing agent saying, hey, they're formally approved, they've already been through underwriting, they've checked them out, they're solid, and I've worked with this lender before, right? So like you're putting like kind of their mind at ease with that whole process.
So we're the leading Mr. lender in the state, and it's not really just, if you read outside of that statement, that means we work with first-time homebuyers more than anybody else. And it's the holding of their hand, and they need it. Rather than, we sat down with Tony, you weren't there initially, for example, they were doing I don't know what they were doing for her, but I sat with Larry and we did the numbers. I said, on this house, you need $9,800 to close with what you're approved as. How you wrote, didn't want that deal fall through, or?
There was one of them, I think, no, that one went through.
Was it the first one? Did we fix that one?
Yeah,
or was
that
there one
that
before?
one, yeah, so she didn't have.
Oh, she didn't. So
she was with the
she
different
came
lender.
to me, right, and said, what do I do? How much do I need? Well, she was doing a 3% down or a 5% down conventional with no concessions, right?
Yeah.
Like, we did the math on, she needed $9,800 to close this deal. She had a pre-approval. She had $500 in her bank account.
Mm-hmm.
I said, Tony, let's do the math, right? I did it right in front of her. I go, you need $9,800. You got it? No, I don't have it. Can you get it? No, I can't get it. I'm like, so you have a pre-approval letter here that's not worth anything. You don't have $9,800. I said, if you only have this much, I need you to find another $1,500 or so, and we can go Mishka, and you need about $1,500 to $2,000 to close this deal up. She said, I can get that. So we flipped it to a Mishka.
Yeah. And that's where I think knowing your options and stuff definitely plays a point in advocating for your clients and showing them, saying, hey.
But yeah,
these
no one,
options are good.
first person, I don't know who it was, it doesn't really matter, didn't even tell her what she needed.
Exactly.
So do the math. She got $7,500 and she needed to bring $2,000. She needed, I told her, just doing the math in my head, you need $9,800. So I was off by $300 because she needed $1,976.52 at closing.
Yeah.
And she had that.
That brings up a good point though too, because a lot of times like some people come and they'll say, hey, I already got a pre-approval letter. Okay, well, where did you get it from? Who did you work with? If you have a trusted ally that you can say, hey, I want to reach out, do you mind getting a second or third opinion on this? Because really, it's not going to hurt you one way or the other. It's just going to be able to give you more information on maybe what you can qualify for, right? And the best type of loan program that you can have, right? So in this case, it worked out really well for her because you're able to explain that to her and kind of navigate her through the waters. But it's just like starting a race without tying your shoes.
Yeah,
right?
so that shows you how that deal goes awry. But it goes awry on day one. Like, it's not,
Yeah, give yourself a shot.
Give me the money so I can order the appraisal, like, what is that? So the deal falls apart later, like, tell her she needs $9,500 at the very beginning, if she doesn't have it, like, don't give her a pre-approval.
Don't issue it, because then
You
it's a waste
cannot
of
find
your time.
$9,500 when you only make, when you don't have unlimited income.
Yeah. And it's all case by case, which is why you need to preface that and say, hey, everybody starts by searching for a home and they find a home, right? We need to get you started in the right direction.
One thing I learned from my own mistake was I expected them, all the young kids and everything, I would tell them, okay, you can't be pulling up credit, you can't buy anything, you know what I mean? I had one buyer that wasn't working with Steve, it was a different, somebody in mortgage bank, he told me he's bought millions of houses, blah, blah, blah. I didn't have that conversation with him. He went and pulled credit, and then like, we're having issues, and I'm like, wait, you know what I mean? But, so that I kind of learned, like, don't assume. Talk to everybody and tell them, don't be pulling your credit, don't be buying things.
Yeah.
Don't assume, even if they told you they bought a house.
So when we send an application packet out, it has a sheet that you have to initial. Every one of these things, I will not let the dog eat my homework.
Yeah.
I will not pull credit. I will not spend money on this. I will not go get furniture. I will make my payments on time. It's all just to keep reinforcing that. Yeah,
Throughout the process.
Yeah, she couldn't mess that thing up.
Yep, absolutely. So,
Got a question about that.
Yep.
Just so that I'm straight with this, because it appears that what it's done is flip-flop. The pre-qual seems to be better today than the approval because of the law that changed a little over a year ago. Because if the lender gives you a pre-approval, that lender is committing that they're going to give you the loan. Is that correct?
Well,
Because that's how we've been told. So they're not supposed to issue out pre-approval letters without doing their homework, like getting all the documents that they needed from the purchaser. Whereas, I've worked with you guys for 15 years.
right.
And I don't show homes until you guys give me the green light. Because in the years that I've been doing this, years ago a pre-qual didn't mean anything. The pre-approval meant everything. Because a pre-qual back in the day meant that the lender talked with somebody over the phone and based off of some information, they should be able to give them a loan. And then they issued out a pre-qualification letter. But the better lenders went out and actually got the tri-merge credit report, their bank statements, their W-2s, their tax records. And then they went to the underwriter and then they got pre-approved. And then that means all they have to do is find a home and the house has to appraise and get title work and they're closing the loan. But it seems like throughout the time, it's kind of got diluted.
Yeah,
So
I think you just want to have good communication with the lender, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Remember, you're doing it through, even if it's something that you haven't really went through, like, I know Quicken Loans, they have like a, pre-qual that they always do, right? But they say that they can't run it all the way through, but you have to verify. Just give a call, verify with your lender, make sure that you're communicating that with your client as well, saying, hey, we need to get those docs in so that hey, you can get checked out and we're not running into issues down the road. Right, so it's just knowing how to navigate those.
So Lou, to address a little bit of what you're saying. So our pre-qualifications are probably a little bit, well, I know they are, especially mine, because I won't send out a pre-approval letter until it's gone through the process and I feel that it's. But I surely have a pretty good idea if these deals are going to approve or not by looking at. I only pull tri-merge credit reports. I look at all tax documents. That's why I ask for tax returns a lot of times and not just W-2s. So when we're looking for assets. So our pre-qualifications are probably, especially mine, are different than everybody else's. If you get a pre-approval letter from me and I've run them through the system, that means I'm scared about that too. It's almost a little bit worse than it is a pre-qual because, like, for example, I did Holly's loan, right? Like, pre-qualification for her, the loan is that easy, right? Like, there's no chance in the world the deal doesn't work.
Yeah.
If I go ahead and load these files and run them prior to them finding houses, that means I'm worried about the file on day one. Credit's an issue. I don't know if the engine's going to eat it. So if I do issue that, not necessarily is that better than the other. That means I'm a little bit nervous. But if you pick up on one thing, income or asset or something like that pre-approval can turn into a dead deal too. There no guarantees. You know that, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
yeah, but when Doug's a little bit different. You deal with Doug, and Doug has a really, really good processor and a
Yes.
really good assistant, and all of their files are sent in and run through Desktop Underwriter. Whether they're clean pups or middle of the road. You're gonna start to see some of that moving forward as conventional Fannie and Freddie start to back away from this low down, mid 600 credit score stuff. They say they're taking a step back. So, and I told all of our staff as well, get these files in, get them run, because what approves today might not tomorrow. Fannie and Freddie don't want 3% down to 670 credit score anymore. They're gonna make you go FHA.
Yeah, and that's where you have to, like, you know, do it front end, right? Get all that stuff done, taken care of, so that you're not essentially wasting time down the road, and then you go, oh, well, we can't close now. Sweet.
Assets are essential,
Not
reserves are gonna be essential.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. The next thing we're gonna talk about too, guys, is qualifying the buyers, okay? So obviously lead generating, different sources you can contact. I highly encourage you to get at least 3 or 4 lenders to work with, right? Know what their loan programs and stuff are, find out which one, you know, makes a differentiating factor, and you can kind of be able to help them when selecting with your client if you don't have anybody to work with, okay?
You mean they should be pre-qualified for 3 different people, or pre-approved through 3 different lenders, or what do you mean by that?
I would say give them options. So I would give them the information, right? And I'd say, here, please reach out to blah, 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 blah. Here you go, right? And you can have your credit pulled essentially for searching for home up to what, 6 times or something like that?
I don't know about
How many times do
the
you have?
times, you know, because I don't know that it's foolproof. Like, you would have to, there's no way to really tell what somebody's credit score does from, you'd have to have a client pull their credit, let them go 6 different places, pull their credit again, and see if the score changed, right? So even if they tell you that, I don't know that I necessarily believe it. It's a period of time, is what I'm told as well.
Yeah.
30 days, I don't know if you guys are told that in class. 30 days from initial mortgage credit pull should not affect the score moving forward for the next 30 days, anybody pulling the credit. But realize that every credit reporting agency has different credit scores anyway. So for example, we use 3 different credit agencies: Credit Plus, Universal, and Credit Card. If I took myself and I pulled 3 bureaus at each of them, all the credit scores would be different. There's no way to, so there's no science behind it. There's no way to really say, hey, my credit score didn't move a point. Well, how can you test for theory?
Trying to pull this up, guys. I totally forgot my password for this.
So back to what you're saying, Mark, get them pre-approved, like 3 different places. I mean, I guess they could if they wanted to, but it's also finding the person that you like, right? So who wants to go through that 3 or 4 times?
I
Yeah.
think legally you have to get through, but
Yes.
then, yeah,
Give
It's
them,
up-
it's up
it's
to
up to
them.
them to
whether
it's
they
up
want
to
to.
them who to go
Sure.
through, but legally you have to go through.
So on there's a page on the One Stop. If you go to training, you go to Ignite. There are qualifying like a qualifying questionnaire that you can kind of go through. Okay. Let me try and see here where they have it. But essentially they have. Let me see if I can pull it up on this one. So I'm gonna look at my passwords. Too many damn passwords. I don't want to save it on here, but in essence, you guys can go through these yourself, but I want to be able to at least go through a couple of them. And you can, just like your checklist that you can have different questions that you ask for, and try to go at least, you know, a couple questions deep when you're talking with your potential clients here. Too many tabs here too. All right. Here we go. Here's the tools. So does everybody know what I'm talking about with like the KW One Stop? Go to the training tab, go to Ignite, and then under Ignite session 7, they're going to have they've got the needs analysis. That's the one we want. So really, let's see what that is.
There's 5 options.
Got needs analysis, and I also have, we've got a checklist too that I think just a qualifying question, right? So I'm just thinking off the top ones off my head, right? You know, qualifying people, you're not with a lender, do you need to be able to sell your home in order to purchase? What areas are you looking for, right? What's important to you when searching for a home? Those things are all very, very important to review, right? Okay, so find the motivation here. I'm going to play a video here.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Pollack, and I'd like to share tips on how to find the motivated. What do I mean by find the motivated? Turning a warm lead into a closed client. The first tip is when you find someone, you want to ask for the business. Let's say you're at a party and your friend is pregnant. You can always say, hey, it looks like you need a bigger house. Or you're out and about and you see this big, beautiful diamond ring and not the full wedding ring. You can say, hey, it looks like you just got engaged. Congratulations. When are you buying your next house? And then I always ask, when are you ready to buy? When are you looking to move into your new house? What are those underlying tips of motivation that will tip you off to having a client that's ready to do business now versus a year from now? Tip number 2, ask for the appointment. Have a calendar or your smartphone ready to say, I have availability tomorrow at 2 or the next day at 4. Which one would work for you? Book the appointment when you meet someone who's ready to do business. Tip number 3, so now you've got the appointment, you want to pre-qualify that appointment by using scripts. Ask questions such as, have you met with the lender that I referred you to the other day? To make sure that they have their price range in mind when they're meeting with you to buy a home, and that you know they're able to sell a home or that they're motivated by a desire to have another outcome, like maybe they're relocating or they're downsizing their home. There has to be some motivation level to continue forward with your home. Tip number 4, use embedded commands. When you get in front of the people face-to-face at your appointment, you want to be talking embedded command language, such as, when you're comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, then we'll sign the contract tonight. If you're using that language throughout your hour or half an hour appointment, they'll be more comfortable when they get to the end, and they'll sign that contract, and then you can move forward. The last step is you sign them up, and now it's your goal to get a referral. When you're in conversation with them, on the phone, in the car, at the closing, use questions. Who else do you know that's looking to buy a home, sell a house, or invest in real estate that I can call today? If you keep saying this throughout the process, you'll find yourself turning more of your current clients into referral business that will generate lots of easy sales for you. So go out there and find the motivated and have a great day.
Cool. What do you guys like about that?
It's proactive. Business isn't going to come to you, you got to go find business.
Okay. So, I mean, probably thinking back to like maybe some different conversations you've had with, you know, friends, family, you know, coworkers, random people. I mean, you see all kinds of different things. If you're door knocking, if you're going to open houses, all these different lead sources that you can have. It's just having conversations with people to ask them about their lives, right? Get them to talk about themselves. Having those, the Ford talks, the family, occupation, recreational, dream, right? Having just simple conversations, seeing where you can identify those key points of maybe upsizing, downsizing, in need of a great agent to help them with. You know, is there any other ahas you guys had from that video?
I thought it was neat that you turned to really engaged and friendly people.
You thought that was what again?
I found it clever, which means, you know, okay, you just got engaged, you might be looking to buy, or you just got pregnant, you might look to upgrade, so.
Yeah.
Easy people, easy to bring up to those people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
I mean,
basically, it's keeping your ears and eyes open to look for those kind of telltale signs Yeah, I mean, that's what I got out of that.
It means hang out with, at more wedding expos and OBGYN. It's just being aware of your surroundings, right? So being aware and saying, hey, how else can I help this person? What else can I do? So that was good. So do your market research, okay? So how many people know like where to even start like the whole process? So we're probably gonna bounce around a little bit, but once we get them pre-qualified, right? They've already met with a lender. We got to set them up on some type of search, right? Making sure that we're sending them the right property, so getting all that right contact info, and then knowing with where you're going, right? So this can also be done prior to your consultation. So understanding where are they looking for? Do they need 3 bedrooms, or could they go with 2? Those types of things. If they are familiar with square footage, if they're not familiar with square footage, their price range. All those things are questions that you can kind of plunk in and do some homework in prior to them coming, right? So you can get familiar with the schools if you're not familiar with some schools or wherever. You just have to be more knowledgeable about that area in particular, right? And finding those key questions are going to be huge for them. Why are they selecting that area? Is it a commute to work? Is it proximity to a certain restaurant? Family? Like there's all different ways that people move. But it's just identifying them and then going again 3 layers deep with everything. Because what happens when you go 3 layers deep with 3 questions deep? You get clarity, right? You find out why. You say, hey, you need a backyard, a large backyard. How big's a backyard for you? What's your relation of size? Oh, a quarter of an acre. Okay, wow. All right, maybe you're a tight box then. So you can start to picture and say, okay, well, what's important to you about that large of a yard? I need to make sure I have room for my dog, right? Okay, what's important to you making sure you have room for your dog? Well, I like to make sure that he has enough room to be able to throw the ball to and run back. He can only have a tall fence of this height, whatever the case is. But what happens is then you become more proficient and more the homes that you're looking at, right? And I'm just using a fence as an example, but that's kind of an objection I think in itself. But you can just be able to kind of say, okay, well, why else is this important for you? So that when you identify that home, you can already weed out properties, right? You can say, nope, this one's not a location that you need to, because it's next to a major expressway. There's no fences there, right? And you're surrounded by expressway, so it's not a good spot for a dog. You can kind of go through those different situations and scenarios and weed out those properties, okay? Okay, yep, so I'm assuming that did anybody research stats at all on 2 different areas from last week's homework at all? No? Okay. So I'm going to do a quick couple things here. Maybe you guys have seen this in a different class, but we're going to go through this anyway because I think it's important, right? So just doing some simple research and stuff on areas. How many people set up property searches just to search for properties for themselves? You guys have one that you search for yourself? No? I encourage you to do that. Try to set up a search for yourself, a friend or family member, just even in general, conversation. You just get a chance to know a little bit more about the area. One thing that you can pull up for consultations, okay? So this is just a resource. If you go to market stats, okay? So you see where that's at, resources, market stats, and you click the drop down there. And then you can obviously, I'm just going to punch in a quick little price range here. We'll do this one, residential, 1,500 or less with 3 bedrooms. We'll do it in relation to the waterfront. Hang on with me, guys. I should have this before you, but that's okay. All right, so we're going to do in relation to, let's say, Shelby Township. So same. Now it switches on me. Let's see if I can close. Essentially, you want to make sure you have like or similar type of comparisons when doing this, okay? Non-waterfront, 2 or less, previously owned, All right, so what this is going to do, you're going to have two different outlines on here, okay? This is what I call conversations in real estate that you need to have with your clients when looking to purchase homes, okay? It's conditioning them for the type of market that they're heading into, okay? This is a quick little, of course I'll do this. Maybe it's just the price point here too. But these are conversations you need to be having with your clients in regards to your property searches, okay? So why do you think this would be important to do? Why do you think going over some of these numbers would help?
You're talking about for the buyer?
Yeah.
Because it's gonna tell them,
Sets the tone.
yeah, exactly the price range that they're in. Here's particular stats, especially when you go from this price to sale price. That'll help you in negotiating, because a lot of buyers, when you talk with them about making an offer at a price, a lot of them just pluck a number out of thin air. And then it can be extremely low. When you show them this stuff, it will help them make a better offer, especially if they get into bidding war.
Yes.
You're gonna have to go over asking price.
There are so many things that can happen essentially from when you're starting a conversation with people till they close on a home, right? And you don't want to like scare them of, you know, any other type of potential issue that they might come across, but you want to give them some good information, right? So this is kind of preconditions them to say, okay, well, you can see here that the general trend for the home search criteria that you've already searched for, you can see that Shelby Thompson is a little bit higher than the overall average market, right? It has its dips and stuff in there too. Also the month supply, right? So this is before even they start like setting them up with a search, right? You're gonna go over these different numbers and say, okay, month supply is month supply a little bit lower. Okay, that means we're gonna have to probably come in with a little stronger offer, right? Based on the information that we're pulling. So it's a little bit lower on the inventory scale than the average market, okay? Let's see, days on market too. I mean, that's another big thing, right? Because shorter days on market, the higher the interest usually generally in that area. So these are some just different conversations you can have, and you're bringing all this value to people, right? So when you have a consultation, you come off professional, you make sure that they understand that, hey, you know, you're coming into Williams Lakeside, the best brokerage in Macomb County right now. We're ranked in the world, all those sweet things, right? But you also want to give them something tangible with them, right? So in my buyer consultations, I'm going to make sure they're educated on the market that they're entering into. We're going to go over what buyer agency relationship is. We're going to go over what a purchase agreement is, because if you're ready and you say, yeah, let's go through this, we'll have a quick refresher. But I want to make sure that they know and are aware of all like the costs that might be associated with pursuing forward, right? So then you have less objections at the very, 2 weeks into it when you've been shown on maybe a couple homes and you say, hey, it becomes more concrete, okay? So this is just some of the research that you can pull with them. You guys have set searches and stuff up for people, right? So you guys worked, you had the MI Real Source classes, and you're able to kind of play around with some of those things, okay? Showings to pendings, right? I mean, this is another one too. Like if you say how many business cards are out on the countertop, right? There's a lot of activity on this. They already know when they need to jump and when they can just say, maybe this is not the right one, okay? So you have to kind of condition your buyers. What I find a lot is first-time home buyers, it's unfortunate because sometimes they lose out on a lot of deals simply because they haven't experienced a loss on it. And they're like, I want to make sure it's a good one. But some of the first ones that you show them may be the very best ones. So in your consultation saying, hey, I know that we have, my job is to make sure that we show you condensed versions. I'm going to be going through and meeting through the properties. And I don't necessarily think it would be a great fit for you, but I want to make sure that we're showing you only the very best properties. So on average, if we have, and set that number for yourself, okay? If it is, on average, I only show 8 homes, right? And we'll have a written contract. Because in that time, they're already thinking, oh shoot, I've only got 3 more homes and I've got to be able to write an offer now, right? They're already conditioned that way. And if something changes in those 8 homes, what we have to do is we have to re-analyze analyze where you're at, where we've been, what homes we have seen. Something either has changed in the criteria completely, you know, but I'm pretty confident I can find you that right home within 8 homes, 8 showings, okay? The first showing, right, so winning with the buyers, again, is you want to go through, my first showings are always a little bit longer than the other ones, right? Because I want to be able to show them, you know, what water does to properties, right? It's like a big thing. Showing them how to check for the age of their furnace. So you're showing them all these value propositions right up front so that they earn that trust and you're saying, okay, I understand how to look for homes. I can look for these things. On the photos themselves, right? Showing them things that you've experienced. Go through with an inspector, right? Go shadow a couple. You got a laundry list of them up on the vendor board. Go through and just say, hey, can I shadow you on maybe one inspection? Just want to learn a little bit more. I'm new into the business. Even if you say I want a refresher on it, do that, right? We've got new construction classes. There's so many different classes you can take, but you got to get out there and go through some properties, right? How many people have looked at a property and said, wow, these pictures are amazing. How the heck did they get it to look like this, right? It's very, very frequent. All right, sorry. Over back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so I want you guys to take 15 minutes, maybe think of a buyer that you have coming up, go through the market stats and just pull up, play with it for just a little bit, and then see what kind of information you pull up. Okay, I want you to find out a couple different key factors, right? I want to find out, you know, what on those 3 of them that we just talked about, right? So on the sales price, the days on market, maybe research an area right now that you feel like, hey, you know, I've got a buyer, I'm interested to know a little bit more on this area. Days on market, you know, showings pending, and then average list price. Okay, so just take a little bit of time. Hi. You know, good. You have your laptop on too. Okay. Yeah. Luke.
While they're doing that, you mentioned cards on the table or in the house. Like there'd be a lot of cards
Showings. Yep.
for showings. I look at that myself because that's a trigger point for me when I'm representing a buyer, that if there's a whole bunch of cards on the table and the house has been on the market for a little while and there's no offers, it kind of sends a red flag to me to help me look for other telltale signs of why this house isn't selling. Because you don't see that in the pictures, but when you go to the house, it's like a completely different.
Totally. Yeah. Absolutely. So you say, how did you take this picture? How did you get this angle, this photo? I don't know. Yeah, no, absolutely. And to kind of piggyback off of that too is I want to make sure that like of those ones where you see those bazillion, you know, days on market that are up there, if there's a ton of cards out there. I like to do a try beforehand so they see days on market, there's all kinds of wacky, you know, comments and stuff there. It's easier to call, right? It's just like previewing like someone you're gonna meet, right? You want to have a phone conversation with them before you go and say, hey, right? I mean, yeah, right? And then you're there and you wasted half an hour of your time, right?
You know, and that helps you to dwindle down that list of properties to show these people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're not wasting your time
100%.
looking at the garbage places.
Exactly, and it's like you always want to be able to get when you're pulling all this. You have so many bits of information that you can come across, right? And that are going to be continually entering into your role essentially. But you want to be able to identify the ones that are going to cost you a ton of time, right? And then ones that you can prevent from happening again, right? This is just learning. So. Yep. Okay. Yep. Let me try and see here, because.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know what the price is.
I'm not sure.
Good. Yes, no doubt. Oh my God.
I didn't even.
Yeah, so it just gives you it to you in a different version or form, but that's how you would be able to do it. It's essentially the same thing. It's just, I don't have real time.
We're at something, one of those where I must have been, and then something like stuff. Cause my snowblower,
Yeah.
it wasn't really rolling. I did one of those and went, oh, that's all right. And yesterday morning, I woke up, like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, you can even do that. That would be a good one to do.
Just how many
Whichever
bedrooms,
ones.
how many.
Yeah, if you want to keep it in general too, I mean, you can just say, hey, I have this is for, maybe, I'm assuming you probably already have done that for yours, but maybe if you saw something, a little bit different, like, hey, this is something, like, I look up market stats for, like, even expires, right? That's an easy conversation to have, right? You say, hey, this is the average trend for these type of properties, your price is here. Here, it's chasing the market, right? Yeah, I'll bring that point up too when, we'll get back, I guess. But I think we're moving on pretty good on that. Are we doing good pace-wise, guys? Yeah. You in there? Oh, cool. Already talked about that. Sweet. Yeah, that's a big one too.
You appreciate it more, don't you?
Appreciate being able to work.
That's a plus. Yeah.
How long did you say you worked for?
26 years. Yeah, that it is.
We're still here to learn.
You can never run into business because it's always changing. For example, like we were talking versus pre-qualifiers. Back in the day, pre-qualifiers didn't know. I suppose when you over the phone based off what they told me, I can give them the loan for this amount, but they have this. There's a laundry list of items that they need to collect. Whereas was that was our guy, all the documentation.
We're almost there, we're not quite there
Financially wise, not a house has to.
Yeah, well, we have
Appraisal.
my oldest already graduated, and my son
And
just
once that
started,
happens,
so
then they can bring the
9,
fire
because
close.
it's 10.
That
I
was
was in high school for 8 years,
10 years
so
ago.
do 9.
But then they
9 solid years
that's
for
not
me,
underwriting.
for 3 or
Which just really
Three people.
changed
It
Plastic
too.
it
We have
out.
3 this year.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
I'm really
Next year we'll
tired
have
of looking at all
3, but
these
only for
buyers.
half a year.
Okay.
Graduates in
Buyers
December.
to get approved.
But my
And
oldest
it's taking
goes
longer
to
to
school in August.
go through
She's
the closing
responsible
process.
for that, like, then we
So
pay
they
for 4 years.
changed it all
But
now.
obviously we're gonna help
Because a
her.
new
Right.
law came out last year.
Let her be in the streets.
Yeah.
If somebody issues that,
So it really never ends.
that lender is committing to get that person.
And my third daughter at state, she'll
But
probably.
some of the lenders out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
She just so lady.
Still
She's
issue.
taking classes because she likes
It was like
that,
stamps
they're
there.
really towards her.
Yeah.
Whether it's pre-approval.
Yeah. So that's our, we made
I
our,
hope you like.
yeah. We made our
That's
for
what
that
you
about it.
do.
And we paid for 75%, they paid for 25.
You need to do that.
Well, my father.
With buyer and lender.
Yeah.
So you can see where the lender is at. And what the lender has done
That's nice.
for that buyer, so you have a good idea
Right.
So it didn't
on
cover it.
whether
But we
you should
divided it by
use for
4.
that buyer or not.
They each got it.
And also too, if they're making off money, they might want to strip more, just send it. Mortgage one, I think $2,000, I would.
That's okay.
That's like you get some.
Yeah.
Okay. It's okay.
They have a lot of potential.
Alright guys, did we notice anything, with the market stats that you guys were able to pull up about particular areas that you are researching? Anything?
We noticed they couldn't pull it up on their phone.
Okay. Anybody?
I did, I have a listing coming up in Clinton Township, so I did all the stats on that. Fees on market is higher in Clinton Township, sales price is lower in Clinton Township. Shows depending are at 14 and in Clinton Township and 10 on MLS.
Yeah.
Month supply is 5.7 on MLS and 4.6 for Clinton Township, so it's pretty much a balanced market. And then the percentage of listing price, 196.9, 197.5.
Okay. So it still gives you that conversation to have, right? So you can even go, because the market stats are a little bit more hyper-local, right? Or not hyper-local, they're a little bit more broad, I guess.
Yeah,
And then you
MLS
can kind of, the market stats that you do have. So you can kind of give a good generalization, but then you can say, okay, well, actually within this half-mile radius now, we can pinpoint and say, hey, your neighbor down the street, they got X amount over ask, right? But then it creates more conversation, well, it might be condition or price, right, to talk about. So that's good though. So use those different things, those different tools to help bring that value to your clients to make sure that you can say, hey, you know, when researching it, you know, do they want to have, I mean, if they've had a consultation with another agent or anything like that, I guarantee you they're not doing that stuff, right? Unless they're in Ignite class, right? Okay, so any questions on that stuff? No, I didn't even try it. Well, I'll do this once and I'll try it out there. Okay. So qualify and schedule buyers for the consultation. So, like I said, you got a qualifying buyer lead sheet that you can have. So, like I mentioned before, going over those pivotal things that you need to know about, right? The need for the lender, are they pre-approved? Are they pre-qualified? What's the difference between who they're working with? You know, there are other criteria that they do have. More importantly, though, you want to be able to get an appointment with them, okay? Like I said before, you want to be able to show them that value. So in that packet that you have, you know, when you have the consultation, you want to have, you know, the market stats, right? Your buyer agency agreement, your solution buyer agency agreement, your purchase agreement for a sample, right? And then a home warranty to kind of go over those options as well. I'd say people have different types of, they have different buyer presentations or consultations that they do have. Just find one works for you, right? I mean, you can do that by just checking off or seeing what your conversion ratios are, right? So if you're at a 92%, what can I do to get it from here to here, right? Have a consultation, practice consultation with each other or family member, seeing kind of what could work, what could not, okay? All right. Okay. So, according to NAR, 2014 profile of home buyers and sellers, 2 out of 3 of the buyers interviewed only one agent. So, there goes again to what I was mentioning before. If they're interviewing multiple agents, you know, find out, you know, hey, why do they select that person, right? Or what has them thinking about something. So buyer consultation. So there is a let's see here. Where else is that too? So they've got a guide. Here. This is not the best. Market stats. Yeah, there's 20 tabs open here. Oh, you know what it was? It was on the, does anybody remember their password and stuff for, I think it was KWL one stop?
You can use mine if you want.
If you mind come up here
Sure.
real quick, and then we can just at least, I don't think it was,
For the one stop, you said?
yeah. let me
Sure
go
thing.
back here. So I want to at least get you guys a couple of these samples and stuff here. Trading, night. Right there. Okay. Thank you. I got it. It's just
Hey, Kevin?
Yep.
Suppose they client, this is what I want to buy or sell it to you. Give me all these documents, I want to look at them. Is any of this information proprietary that we can't give to them?
There you go.
Thank you very much. Give it to them, but what specifically do you have a question on? And that's where I would address it with the buyer, right? So I go over it, right? You have to know those docs inside and out, right? So knowing what, and I think order of importance is nice too, because you have disclosure. Disclosure regarding real estate agency says how I'm representing you, right? Exclusive buyer agency goes a little bit more in depth about contract terms, those type of items, right? So if you don't understand how I'm representing you, and then this exclusive buyer agency, we're going to go through a little bit more in depth. It kind of works itself in that fashion, right?
So to say, no, again, I'm a client, I say, well, my uncle's a lawyer. I want him to look at this whole thing before I sign anything, before I read anything, before I meet you at your office. Give me every paper I'm ever gonna have to look at. I'm gonna run it by Uncle Larry. Can we give them all the papers?
How about this? How about we go and we review the documents together, okay? We can sign the documents and say, hey, we want to work together. This is just mutually agreeing that I want to help represent you in this transaction, okay? If for any reason you take this contract to Uncle Larry, I'll literally shred it up, I'll send it to you in the mail, and if anything he's not cool with, we'll say, okay, that's fine, but I need to be able to have this document signed to make sure that I'm representing you when looking for homes. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Okay.
Okay.
So like you can go that route, or it depends on how hard they are, right? I mean, there's a good objection I think in here too, just saying that, you know, if someone doesn't necessarily want to work with you, that's fine. I mean, it might be better off if we part ways now as opposed to later down the line when we're, you know, it might not work because they might be just time suck city, right? Who knows? I don't know. You know, you have to make that judgment call yourself. But at some point, it might just be, you know, simply just isolating that objection. So what about having your uncle review this contract would make you feel more at ease, right? I mean, if there's something in here, I mean, you want to be able to make sure that I'm representing you. Like, you're not going to go talk to your Uncle Larry or whoever it is if you want to put an offer in, right?
No.
Okay, so you're not.
I really want to deal with you, I like it. But every deal I've ever made in my life, buying a bicycle to I run it by him.
So it seems like you may have some trust issues a little bit more in just trying to make sure that you're making a confident purchase, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Right.
And that's fine. There's a lot of people that do that. What I'd like to do though is make sure that you do feel comfortable and confident that I'm the person to help you out, right? So I want to be able to reissue that trust and say, hey, wherever you have a question wise, you can come to me and ask me. All right, we're gonna get you the right answer.
Okay.
All right, cool. So it's just scripts and dialogue to see kind of what someone's gonna say, right? It's objection handling. So that would be a good thing to work on too. So sorry guys, going back to this though. Here we go. Everybody see how I got here? So under here, so you have this extend your learning, this one right here. Okay. So this is the exclusive buyer agency agreement. If you guys can pull it up in front of you, that's great. But know that document, okay? We don't have to kind of go over it here too much. But this is, we talk about doing the consultation that we talked about. Yeah, buyer consultation. So this one you can find, they've got like a couple different sources. Back in like a couple months back when we had Michael Lewis tweak, they had a couple of different variations you can have. You can tweak it, make it your own. And what's great about these is it kind of gives you that, oh shoot, there we go. Kind of gives you that breakdown of topics of conversation you can have with your clients, right? So I've got, mine's a little bit different, but I'll go through this one. Oh shoot, I love PowerPoint, so you can tell here. All right, so like I'll just do a quick rundown. So this one looks like it's just an intro sheet that you can have. All right, there's your picture. And then right here, so this one pretty much has that outline of that home buying process, right, from start to beginning. Some of them might be excluded on here. I don't know if they have the state by state, right? So it's pretty cut and dry. They'll select a real estate agent, obtain financing, analyze your needs in a buyer consultation, select the properties, view them, write an offer, negotiate terms, accept contracts. Any type of contingencies that you have. So it just kind of gives you a rundown so they kind of feel that peace of mind throughout the process. So this is a good thing to do because then you can say, all right, remember, and you can almost like have like insert EMD check, right? So it's good because then if you condition your buyers and they had that consultation, they say, where do I send the EMD check? You take it now? How would you like it? I've already got a cash here. Or not cash, but a check, right? Personal check. You said, no.
Kevin, how did you get there again?
How did I get where?
To that.
I downloaded, it was buyer consultation. It was on the bottom. Got there, probably. So, funding your purchase. So a lot of this stuff is going to be repetitive of what we talked for. So I'll kind of skim through this, right? So it kind of breaks down making an offer. So how cool is it that we have just a company that'll be able to do this for us, just plug and play, you tweak it how you want it to, and run, right? It's pretty cool. So closing, right? So you have photo ID, social security number, I don't know if you necessarily need your social on there. For some people have to know theirs, right? Copies of it. Right here, so this one talks about the needs analysis a little bit more. So just kind of questions so that you can start thinking about it. And this doesn't necessarily have to be something that you're doing like over the phone with them. It could be saying, hey, you know, if you have a quick minute to talk, I can send you over a quick needs analysis and we can review that together at our consultation. Right? You try to think of different ways that you can leverage your time and how efficient you can make it. Okay? Let's see here. Basic info. So what's your price range? Approved, that same type of information. Lifestyle, because that's really important for a lot of people too. And I feel like sometimes during your buyer consultation, right, or if you're out there showing people, you know, X amount of houses, right, you're showing 10, 12, 15 homes, more than that, hey, it's fine, but maybe there's a point that you're missing, right, and maybe you have to reaffirm what is important to them, right, so just making sure that you have something in writing is kind of important, right, because it says, then you can say, well, when we first met, we talked about this, and now things change completely. Like what it brings the conversation back to what's really important for them, right? And if it's one or two items that you can kind of focus on. So wish list. This thing goes pretty long and in depth. Frequently asked questions, right? So this one's a good form too. You know, it says how does for sale by owners work, right? That's always one thing. You want to say, hey, I'm representing, but let me talk to them first to see if they go out and work with an agent, right? So it gives a good breakdown. This is, you know, another thing you can kind of build into your presentation, but find out how they best communicate, right? So how do you best communicate? Is it through text message, email, phone calls? you know, do you want me just to send you a quick little reminder? Do you want, I'd personally pick up the phone if it's something that's in dire need or I need explanation of or anything like that. If it's a quick little reminder, shoot them a text. But there's a good way to kind of build that rapport, right? So imagine that, Lou, if you had, oh, here's the moving checklist. So you have a moving checklist, right? How critical would it be, though, is if you had that consultation with them before, they're probably less likely to say, oh, this person's invested a lot of time, they understand it, they know it, they're knowledgeable, they've done it before, you know, they've had a good, smooth transition, you've already got them hooked up with a lender, that you have good communication with. So everything that happens, you just want to make sure it's relayed across the board, okay? So we don't have to go through all that stuff. I'm just like now anyways. So I'm gonna go, was that helpful?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How many people have a buyer consultation or listing presentation that you can get? You do? Is it from same sites?
Yeah.
Yeah, similar to it? Okay, so I'm gonna go, hold on. Alright. Why am I just, this is moving the slide. So, page 48. I'm not sure which ones they have on it. Script practice for the buyer consultation and handling objections. Okay? What is 48?
Your turn, script practice.
Okay. Alright, you know what, let me switch this real quick. We'll watch a quick little video. Yeah, let's just do this video first, and then I can kind of prompt some additional dialogue for us, okay?
Analysis, a systematic process of collecting information about needs, wants, and desires that is used to establish and define goals. Step 2 of the buyer consultation is the needs analysis. Only when you understand what is ultimately important to your customers can you deliver it. Many agents ask their clients, what do you want in a house, and stop there. They don't realize the answer to that question isn't the same as what do you need or what's important to you. Determining your customer's core wants, needs, and values is a process. Draw a line down the middle of a piece of paper and write needs on the left and wants on the right, and use it to track their needs and wants as you go through this process. At this point, you will have a clear understanding of what buyers need versus what they want, but you are not done. Now, you want to drill down and uncover their values by finding out why they need and want what they do. Use this question. What about blank is important to you? Let's see how it works. Say your buyer has told you that they want or need a large yard. You say,
So what's about a large yard that's important to you?
your buyer says, I like to garden. You ask,
You like gardening. What's important about gardening?
your buyer says, I like to spend time outdoors. It helps me relax. You ask,
I can feel relaxed. And what's important about being relaxed?
your buyer says, when I'm relaxed, I can spend more quality time with my wife. Bullseye. A large yard equals family. At this point, you have uncovered a value. You can now look for other ways it applies to your buyer.
A large yard is important because it allows you to spend quality time with your wife, correct? So what else about your new home would be important to you in terms of spending more time with your wife?
Cool. So some of that stuff, right? I mean, that kind of resonates a little, right? Did you guys think it was funny they asked like 3 or 4 times?
Yeah.
Yeah. It gets to there, right? But something Thanks. You guys are just gonna pass it around the second sheet here. Did you guys catch anything that was important about it at all?
I see what they were doing, it just seemed really
Strictly.
cheesy.
Yeah.
It is extremely cheesy, but
Yeah.
it's still.
But I understand what they were doing, they were trying to get from this point to this point, I don't know, like, I would feel stupid asking the
Or
same question
even
two
like
times.
really nosy.
Nosy.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know, I almost feel like, what's important about doors? I don't know.
What's
I
that?
just
like
think
it.
it's a question.
Some people have door fetishes. Believe me. Yeah. I think it has to kind of do along the lines of saying, okay, well, you're knowing somebody. I know that you like this type of door. So what's important about this door to you? Or finding a little bit more of that insight, because it might be a trigger for somebody, especially when you get to that like 10th house. I want more of an open concept, or how many of those things do you hear? It's just identifying and saying it rooted down to the feeling, right? So in both they talk about emotions equal motion, right? So finding out what's important for them about that isn't necessarily saying like, hey, I'm going to ask you 3 or 4 more intrusive questions about there, but he ended with, how does it make you feel? Because when people feel certain things, they begin to act, right?
Speaking of feeling though, I know I've had this happen with a lot of people. They when they go into a house, like they feel it. They go, I feel like this is a home for me.
Yeah.
But how do you know? Like, I mean, you don't feel it when they go into that house. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yes.
how do you get that? Because sometimes they don't. I've had that. I don't feel it until I'm in there.
Yeah, and sometimes, that's really why I think agents will never be optimized out with technology, right?
Yeah.
Because you need to feel it. And
Yeah.
when you go in there, you have to say, wow, I can envision myself here.
Yeah.
So something I tell my clients that I work with too is that you're going to be looking through all kinds of different types of homes. When you find that right one is really when I'm going to pull out every single bit of information. I'm going to pull this thing. But you have to be able to feel it, right? So if you're like, I can't even see myself here, then let's save our time and go look elsewhere, right? Let's do everybody a solid and move forward from it. But by asking the questions, what, right? So what is a very powerful question? You want to ask how or why, or maybe some of those might be pertinent at the time, but what brings adjectives, right? Adjectives bring action. Action reads, hey, movement, right? I'm writing something. I'm gonna present an offer. Okay, what would have to make sense for you to write an offer on this home today? I need to be able to make sure this thing has French doors. What about French doors is important to you? I can imagine myself opening up and looking out in my backyard. Okay, so if we were able to make sure that the offer we presented accommodated for that, would you be still interested in writing an offer, right? You isolate the objection, and you say, aside from that, is there any other reason why you wouldn't offer on the home? Okay? It's just about understanding your client's needs, right? Anything else on that video? One more? One more? More? No? Cool. Okay, so script practice. Hopefully that's going to help with the script practice, okay? So in there, I guess you have some questions or some different dialogue, right? You go over a needs analysis. Yeah, so really just do 51, you have it. Page 51, you have it. So sit with a partner, okay? So partner up here. You guys need someone else over there? Partners, you two. Yeah, we can. Sure.
Okay,
Yeah. And then, Lou, I'll okay.
Go just read this.
Three questions.
No, we don't have any 5 questions.
Three bedrooms, two baths, and large yard. Just stay in your room.
Oh, sorry, we were in the house in
Running up the stairs. I just let the dog
Can you tell me the price?
What about stairs do I need? A lot of I really enjoy the outdoors. I like the back in the trees, outdoors, switch it up. Okay. We're looking to find out from you, I need to narrow it down. What is exactly that? Family size, this could be your number. People are looking through your windows.
And if I were to do
Kids are mostly home, if they come home, they're going to at the same time.
So you have kids down, but one is the other day.
Honestly,
So we need laundry on the first floor, and you call them so you can burn it.
Sure.
How long do you love to? Okay. Why is this one have that?
Guys, real quick, if you want to make sure that you're really hammering home, like, on the 3 questions deep, right? So if it is, type of lender, right? What's their name? Who did you get approved through? What type of financing do you have? 3 questions deep, and then the next one. Okay.
What's it more to about that? Right. So how long is the home?
right now?
Okay, so.
Yeah.
Are you pre-qualified? Qualified, if you don't mind.
Kind of, yeah.
Good for you.
I use time to go back to school. What do you use?
Yeah, just,
Yeah, I think so. So you have the 21 grams? You're out. What's right for the 21?
So you put some money. The reason to know.
Oh, I was. Pluses and negatives.
Alright.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sometimes it's really fun. Then we get people's personalities, you know, they'll make our, they'll lose their home and.
Just a
No, I'm sure it's not.
Looking at it, what about the, I was introduced to her. So she is the state.
She said that she actually said
I'm just gonna write down your.
So I sat down and had a conversation with her. She was saying that she's all right next to me. Very fit for me. Very well trained. Versus actually stuff. So she introduced me to here I am. But as soon as I approached
So
really,
So let me pull it up.
I've been working for a couple of years. I enjoy it. But it just gets boring. You rent the house and now it's just something to. I don't know. One don't start you there. Person will go away and the whole crowd will be we get our checked up from the accountant. Substance account to give us the long. Yeah, I'd rather not touch it, yeah. Absolutely.
So you just start to get serious.
I she's great, she's smart, she knows that. But it's like asking your mom, yeah. It's like, we were in the same office with my girlfriend's parents, so we really get a lot of art. It's a blast. Our street is private road, so nobody allows it. So I plowed the whole street for the day. That neighbors are coming out. You push out your road. That's what, because, our street is, there's 12 houses, and the first 6, the first 6, somebody else comes, but they don't go all the way back. There's like a little lane back there, but they just do, they're just forward. I realize that I was kind of stuck, so now I just do that section and open everything up. That's how this is small. Get out and move it. There's a difference between 2,000 and 5,000. I do it myself in 2,000 to have it done 5,000. There's much to use everything like on the street, just for the yard. So I was like, just gotta try it out. I'm Junior, tell her this one. We just had to do that. But that part, I don't like that. Yeah, I know how to use it. Get out. This doesn't do it well. So we use this so we go to the neighbor's house. So 28 So I'll drive over their house. Yeah, she did. They have friends that live we go over to their house. We go over to their house, have some drinks, come back in, the bar. Yeah, have to hit it up for her. So now we got the fellow, like you said, I'm gonna rent down there. So the other one has. Is that your retirement yourself? And after this snowstorm, I was here. But we'll see how many times I use this thing here. And it was $3,000 worth of work. I mean, there's a big difference from this one to the next one. So this is just hydraulic up and down. Outside to move the beam around. It's just a pin system. You lift the pin, you move it, you put a pin in, but you have to get out and do it. It's I did on old one, we had Kubota, a similar thing, but it was a Kubota with Boss hydraulics. And then I would, I just got the thing in my hand. Then I would change every time. Now, that's if I had to change to the right, I'll plan it, go around that way, or turn around, push it this way, turn around. I'll plan it where I'll use the beam, I'll use the beam and do a couple swipes everywhere. And then I'll open it up to one side, and I'll do as much with the beam that I did with that way. And then turn it the other way.
And then you can this way, push this catch this way.
And then I don't even turn it that way, I just turn around, back the other way, so if I had it in my hand, I would do it completely different, it would be easier. But not having it in my hand, having to get out and do it, I'm like, all right, makes you think, do it this way. It's so fun, I like it more in the morning. It's fine. I woke up, I did it all right. Sometimes I like when we get still a little later, she loves to get a hot cocoa and rubbing it or something. Cruising around. Well, I'm only up my truck, so I can't really fuck up,
Alright guys,
what are some things we learned?
dig deeper.
Dig deeper?
Get to the big why.
Big why, find the motivation, right? Yes.
I learned that sometimes, like, when we were watching that video, that the questions the guy was asking was kind of awkward or corny.
I'm sorry,
You know, when that guy on that, or the person on the video
Yeah.
was asking all those questions, sounded like he was a therapist, but when somebody actually asked me, it wasn't as annoying.
Yeah.
You know, when he asked me like a dig deeper question,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah, we kind of point out something to identify at least is just like your how your emphasis of your words, right? Your mirror matching with somebody. If someone's hyper when they're talking on the phone, okay, well, calm it down a little bit and like try to get them to come down to where my level's at, or if they are, meet them where they're at, right?
Yeah, he asked like with a like using a more curious tone versus like he's a reporter. You know?
Yeah. Are you interested in this property? Are you interested in this property? You know, but yeah, I get you. Anything else from script? You guys?
But when you start to ask them about, first the question about their finances, about low pre-qualification, ask them, what's your credit like, how much cash do you have, what's your job situation? You just get right into it?
That was a lot for that. I mean, really, you just want to hit them up with, hey, if you talked with a lender, are you going to be paying cash or using type of financing to purchase the home, right? So if it is cash, okay, great. Because all the sellers are going to want to see is the same thing that they would from a lender, is that they actually purchase that home. So can you send me, your proof of funds? Walk out your personal information. But send me your proof of funds so we know that we can actually purchase the home, right? I I want you to bring that to our appointment that we're gonna have. I've got availability at 3 or 4 o'clock today. Which time would work well for you?
So we're not doing that in this first meeting.
Don't-
We're just bringing up the topic of pre-qualified.
Yeah, get in touch with the lender, right? You don't wanna overstep your boundary in there, even if you might know a little bit more, it's always good to get them in touch with the lender, right?
In our script, as we were going back and forth, she indicated, or I asked if she was using a lender, if she was pre-qualified,
Yep.
she was. And I dove into it, she's through Huntington, at Frank at the 21 branch. At that point, do I want a copy of the, we were both kind of curious, should I be asking for a copy of her pre-qualification?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're gonna need that to submit an offer anyways, right?
Or you would just ask them over the phone first, like, hey, if you have that line card with you, otherwise I can give you some lenders.
Yeah, bring that with. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And just.
I thought so, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to.
Yeah, and it's just like any type of relationship that you can mention, right? So I just want to make sure that you have the best experience, and to me, to make sure that happens, I've got to have great communication with the lender that we work with, right? So that together we can make sure this process is seamless for you, right? So if you could bring that letter of pre-approval with, we can discuss that. Did Frank happen to go over those different types of options with you? How did that appointment go? Let them talk, right? And then ask follow-ups and stuff from there.
Yeah, because that pre-approval letter should show you some things, right?
Yeah.
It will have, of course, lending type. It will either have concessions on it or it won't. It should, right? Depending on who's issuing it.
Right.
So you know what direction they're going in, right?
Okay.
That way you've got a feel for, okay, there's concessions on this pre-approval letter. I've got, from your standpoint, okay, I need to show them houses. So not necessarily you want to ask a little bit, hey, I see this pre-approval letter says concessions. Is it necessary or is it something, you just like to get, right?
Yeah.
So you can get a feel for what houses, you guys do more of this than I do.
Yeah,
The house day on the market, they need $7,500 in concessions.
It's tough.
It's tough. It's a tough deal, right? So that pre-approval letter should give you some insight into their financing options.
Okay.
And then again, I can't stress the importance of reaching out to the lender themselves too, as well as the client, just to discuss that type of option. So was this something that they just said, hey, I'm gonna shoot you 200 just to shoot you 200, yet knowing they can purchase up to 225. That's a big difference in price, condition, and then you're also setting yourself apart from what other people might be looking for, right? Would we all agree that competition at 200 is a little different than 225? Yeah, one could beg the difference, but to know that option up front, right, it is huge. That's when I first started searching for homes, I was only told, hey, I could just do an FHA because that's all I wanted to put down. But not knowing my options, I could afford a conventional option. So that's where you have to kind of help your client because they don't necessarily know and understand the ropes and say, hey, here's an option that you can have a 3% conventional or a 5% conventional, whatever the case is. So that's where you kind of bring that additional value. Okay?
So let me add one more thing.
Yep.
Sorry to take up so much time. Holly and I work together quite a few times, and she'll send me someone. We do have a lot of communication as to who these people are at the very inception. For example, a lot of people, if they've got decent credit, there's more than one mortgage option. They're conventional, they're FHA, they're potentially Michigan. So I say it depends the house, and they haven't decided how much money they want to use, but they've got the funds to do all of these things. So we're going to keep our options open in our line of communication on what product and program we're doing. Second of all, if there are only one option, then we need concessions. We need to talk about that and tell you why you need those concessions, why they need so much. Maybe there's only limited funds to bring to the table. So all of that has to happen, and every house is going to be different for the amount of concessions they need based upon the taxes of that property, whether they're homesteaded, not homesteaded. So if there's concessions, I like to work up every address and say, I need this much for this house, because we don't want to leave concessions on the table because they're going to go back to the seller if you don't use all of them.
or just even knowing, that's where like doing the market stats is strictly imperative too, because then you can find out or say, hey, you know, we can maybe buffer in some of that appraisal, or the concessions rather, with the appraised value. So knowing if a house has been on the market a long time, is listed under value, maybe bump it up to get them those funds that they need to be able to get an accepted offer.
In lieu of doing MISTA or something like that.
Exactly.
Yes. So there's a lot of options.
Yeah, exactly. So, real quick, page 53, I already know what's on 53. It's a surprise.
Your turn, needs analysis.
Okay, we kind of did that a little bit, I think, just asking, what do you need, what do you want? I always like using the term, you know, when you're searching for properties, especially on like the multi-list, when you're setting them up with something electronic, the less is more. And then if you want to get more refined, if it's like, hey, I need to have a sliding door out of my kitchen, they don't have that criteria, but if they need to have a basement, they need to have a basement, right? So those are non-negotiables. But I always like to question them, hey, do you really need a 3-bedroom, or can you do a 2? You know, no, I need to have a 3. Perfect, then I know, right? But you want to start out as broad as possible and then narrow down on exactly what you're specifying, right? So I think you want to start out broad and then just get a feel for things to kind of look at when you're going through the properties list. Do you guys use Collab Center at all? Yeah? No? You don't know what it is?
I don't know what it is.
Well, you probably will, because once you go through your orientation and stuff with My Real Source, you'll be able to see kind of a little bit more in depth.
You know, when I leave here today, I need to go over there and talk to them.
Yeah, it'll all, light bulbs will start flashing for you. Okay, so, it's a little different on how they did this. Oh, something to point out as well. Practice consultation, we kind of did that already. Okay. Hold on to this real quick. So just identifying too, something else when you have that consultation with people, okay? You can categorize them, okay? So someone that needs to find a home now, I sold my home, I need to find a new place within the next month. Okay, those would be classified as an A buyer, right? So you want to be able to plunk them down in order of importance to where you feel like that is, okay? And it's fine if you just say, hey, you know, I just want to be able to say, right now, it seems like you're kind of taking your time. We're kind of going to categorize you as a C buyer right now. So we'll make sure that we schedule up appointments based on, you know, maybe once a month there's something that pops up. You still need to get a couple things together from finance end. So we'll just kind of play it a little bit slower. If anything changes in your world, give me a call, let me know, and we can make sure that I get escalated up, you know, quicker, right? So making sure that you're in good communication with them on maybe where their situation is, right? That's going to help save you guys a lot of time. Okay. Another thing too, I mean, just asking strictly for referrals throughout that entire process, right? So if you do a great job, how many people know what the promise is? It's Mark. Who do you remember? Mark. Let me see here. I think it was on. It's a great script to have. Search. Here you go. Promise. Mike Hicks, right? Watch this. This is a really long video, I think. But what he does is he pretty much says, hey, you know, I want your experience to be the best, okay? And you know, in return, all I expect is a referral. And I'll know that I did my job for you when you send me a referral from the time that we start talking and searching for homes until the time that we close. If I don't receive a referral from you within that duration, I'm going to know that I didn't do my job. Okay? So I'll follow back up. If you don't know of anybody at that time, I'll continually follow back up with you, you know, from time to time to make sure, right? And it's a good way to kind of get that continued business. So going along with find and win buyers, if you know already in the back of your mind, hey, this person, you know, is really looking for my best interest and really putting it all out there for me. And if I do a great job, you know, finding a new place, I kind of hold them some, right? There's that responsibility and stuff there. So definitely a good watch. Okay. Let's see here. This one's kind of the same thing. If you went over that, or funding, Alright, so real quick guys, I just want to kind of highlight again on a couple of these items. Was there anything else you guys wanted to add to the list right now? Right? Did we go over these? So where to find buyers, right? So we talked, Lou, right there is yours, right? So lenders, you can do open houses. Open houses are a great way to meet people, right?
Those I do.
Yeah, because Bill, you mentioned before, you saw some good ones and some not so good ones, right? So with the good ones that you saw, make sure there was good communication, right? They knew their stuff, they knew the property, they knew the competition, right? Maybe having that introduction first when they walked in, right? If you had something that says, please keep off your shoes, it's a good thing to take your shoes off because, hey, you know, they're there for extra 5 minutes while they're putting them back on, right? So you can ask some questions.
I have one quick question about that. Is the one guy he had a lot of alcohol. Is that awkward? It seemed very awkward to me.
Alcohol there for you to consume?
Yeah.
Or he consumed it?
No. He basically had a bar set up next to his water and little, you know, cheese and crackers and stuff. He had,
Okay.
and he's like, yeah, he wanted to get you drunk. He was.
That would be a Doug question.
It seemed really inappropriate.
Yeah.
Not the norm, but.
I wouldn't have that.
Okay. He was the broker himself for, I think he's the only realtor under his brokerage, and he was a really weird guy, but I just thought it was so strange. Like, I've never, wow. Again, I was new to it, so.
That's all that.
That's why, because there's so much snow outside, I don't want to have any drinks.
Yes, and then you got a question, did you have one?
No, I didn't even have a water, everything was warm on top of that.
Oh.
Those waters, the other.
He uses the snow outside.
That's right. It's just so strict. I even looked at the refrigerator had an ice maker, I'm like, yeah, this guy's really not doing well.
Really winning. So where else can we find buyers, right? So obviously scripts, right? We do phone calls, sign calls, and for sale by owners, right? For sale by owners, what do they need when they split home? Maybe they need help purchasing home, right? Maybe they need help navigating through that. Are we good on that one? Do you need any more clarification on it? Good. Checklist, right? Checklist on, you're going to send that out to everybody?
Yeah.
So, does it go through that whole process?
I have everything.
Yeah.
It's very detailed.
It's pretty
It is. I have the buyer side and the listing side. I'll send you. And like I said, if there's something, you know, that's off that you don't agree with, I mean, it's pretty detailed because for me, I did it like my first deal because I needed a checklist to remember. And I remember like one time, I almost forgot to do like a final walkthrough. Oh crap, like, you know what I mean? Because I looked at
Add the checkbox in there.
yeah. So I put it all in there.
It's going to be sweet because Command's going to have that capability too.
Yeah.
Moving it through, you can have all those people plug in. So it'll be really good to do. So control, right? So weeding out properties, right? So you're showing them 10, 15 homes, right? That buyer consultation should take care of a lot of it.
If you dig deeper, you'll.
What was that?
You just need to dig deeper on what they're exactly looking for and not what you want.
Exactly, right? So on even searching for properties, you got to go through the photos and explain to them what listing agents will do or photographers will do. Or they'll do like the op job, like low profile and make the room look huge, and then things to look for to make sure that you're still within that hey, like, I know a 12 by 12 tile is this big, and judging by the cabinets, it's a 2-foot wide cabinet, right? Walkway that you have in between. Making sure that they have, good, good ventilation, right? Good windows, right? There's certain things you can check on to make sure that, hey, I'm not wasting their time, right? Always pull up that aerial shot, right? Because if there's something that's maybe not necessarily important for them or things that they don't want to be near, okay, then you can at least identify it for them and let them make that decision, right? So if you say, hey, I'm right next to I-75 and, Big Beaver, hey, yeah,
They had one
exactly.
house, we looked at that one house and loved it, but it was right up against I-53. And Kevin's like, you just think about it. And we're like, oh.
Yeah, I had a similar story too.
Yeah.
I was like, man, why is this one priced this way? When I was first looking for a house, I wasn't even licensed. And I'm like, this is such a great deal. What's going on? And I like look in the backyard's nice, and it's got like just a brick wall in there. I'm like, it's kind of different, but I don't mind it. And then I open up the door wall and I hear, like
It's a garbage
the
dump.
train,
Oh.
the train going right through the backyard. I'm like, yeah, this is why. So some of those things you can kind of do to save your time, do them, right? Because it takes 5 seconds to pull it up, but maybe a half hour to go through that house, right? And then knowing your options as far as like the lending, so FHA items, if you're looking through the property, it says, hey, FHA, and you've got like this big old patch of concrete that's missing, or you start seeing the paint, how expensive is this? Then you call the agent, you talk, hey, troubleshoot with them, right? Before going out there, right? So that can be some way that you can kind of weed out properties, right? Or you can just say, of these 8 properties you selected, what are your top 3 and why, right? And what particularly stood out to you instead of why? What particularly stood out about these properties that made you want to go and choose this one over the other 8, right? So that you can kind of get an idea of maybe what they're looking for, okay? This one is buyers off of Luke. Buyers off of just listings. So where else can you find buyers, right? That was your question that you had before.
No, actually, that's how I prefer to get buyers is from my listings
Okay.
or an open house
Yeah.
and things. But I was more questioning on how I could pick up buyers from social media.
Oh, from social
That was-
media
that
itself.
was my question.
Post relevant articles and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You could always see, like, social media, we talked earlier about, like, people getting engaged or having babies or, like, different signs that you can say, hey, your family's growing, or maybe your family's shrinking, right? Maybe someone's moving out of state, they just got a new job, those type of things. So just being observant and aware. So having that forward presence, and contacting your database. That's what I would say.
Thanks.
And then if it is, you can have different marketing campaigns where you say, hey, I'm going to focus on trying to get relocations or what have you. I think that, who was the guy that had that class on Facebook?
Justin?
Remember Justin? Yeah. He seemed pretty good at that stuff too. Yeah. But that would be another way, I think. Another way too is inviting lenders to your open houses, right? Most people maybe not necessarily have a lender at that moment, but hey, here's one right here. You can go plug them in and say, hey, get pre-approved right now. How long does a pre-approval take? On the average, like average scale.
So if they get all the information, they're W-2 employee and they have bank statements, they give us what we really need. Because I'm picky about what I want all the documents. So I don't have a lot of wiggle room.
Yeah.
If they're a W-2 employee, it takes as long as it takes to pull the credit. So, I mean, seriously, it can be 5 minutes, but if they don't give you what, they're self-employed, they're giving you 2 of the tax returns, and you can see they've got 5 businesses. I mean, the sky's the limit, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I need this. Oh, I didn't know you needed that. I see the business.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, unlimited amount of time. If they give you what you need, seriously, once I pick it up, because all we're doing is pulling credit. And we're pulling credit not only for credit score, we're pulling credit to see what the monthly debts are. And if you tell me your salary and you make $8,000 a month, I mean, I don't really even have to do the income, right? So I'm looking for debts.
Yeah.
And then if you show me a bank statement, I can look and see how much is in the bank, like it's, so potentially it can take like a, you know, it's fifth grade, it's second grade math. So you can do it very, very quickly.
Yeah, so that's again why it is important to even do it at the very beginning, not wasting your time and whatnot initially, but it doesn't take long to have someone check it out.
Well,
Do that
wasting,
before.
you know, wasting your time
Yeah.
is the key, because you guys, we're sitting around, you know, just pulling credit and waiting for documents to come. We'll meet people as well. You guys are driving them around, and, you know, it's, you've got a lot invested in that situation. We want to make sure that your time is well spent.
Motivation, right? So the intake form that we do have, asking those questions, you know, why is it important for you to live in this area? You know, what's important about a 3-bedroom, one of those 3 layers deep, okay? That will help you significantly reduce the time that you spent with clients you're working with, right? Is there any other questions that you guys had at all?
Okay, we'll go back to that one question I had in the book here.
Yes.
It's got these objections,
Okay.
and the agent makes a statement to a buyer. Let me remind you that by signing, you are not agreeing to pay me a fee. I was kind of confused by that. What kind of document are they signing here where there's no fee involved?
Yeah, yeah, that's, I think that's what it's referring to. Definitely, if it was just a script,
You get paid.
yeah.
Okay. Well, that's on the basic.
Yeah, you're not agreeing to pay me any fee, but yeah, essentially you get paid for the service that you provide though too, but by the listing, the seller, so.
So they have to pay for, what would the buyer, loan inspection, things like that, that would be all listed on the,
Appraisal, transaction fee,
contract. Okay.
closing costs, right, get a good ballpark for the closing costs. Make sure that they know what that's gonna run them as well. Okay. I think we covered a lot of good stuff. Anything else? So maybe I'll just do a quick little thing on after close, right? So you close on the property, you say, hey, you know, thank you for working with me. You always ask, you know, who do you know that I should know that's also looking to buy or sell a home? If that's the first time they've heard it, watch the promise, okay? Because that kind of goes through a little bit more in depth, and it's that any really positive experience that they have, right? So just like Pavlov's dog, right? You say, hey, you know, you hear the bell, right? That's the, hey, your referral. You got anybody that you know looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, love to work with. It's a great feeling, right? So you have another great feeling. You'll call them back a little bit later, saying, hey, who else do you know, right? So just continue that throughout, and then obviously don't just ask them that every single time, but give them an item of value, right? Say, hey, here's a couple of preferred vendors that I've worked with. And once you get settled in your home, here if you needed to get that wall painted that you wanted to change out, here's a great painter, right? Those type of things. Cool. So I think that's it. Yeah, cool. You guys are good. Do you have no other questions at all? Oh, homework for next time, right? Isn't there a list of homework? Baby? What's in there?
Thank you.
Really appreciate you. Cool. Okay.
Kevin, page 49.
Yeah.
There's number 6 that says you can ask about the household but not the family.
Yeah.
Asking about person's family could be violation of their housing laws. I don't get that part.
I mean, it's just a
As a buyer, you need to know who's gonna live in the house.
That's what's important for you in your next home. And as tell me about your family. Yeah.
It says don't say family, ask about the household, not the family.
I would argue that.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah, I
But
always
it's really,
ask
so
how many
impersonal.
children you have, how many bedrooms do you
Yeah.
need.
Yeah, so for instance, it's something that I can better understand, you know, your living situation, what exactly do you need, you know, and then just ask, is that all? Is that all? Is that all?
Okay.
Of these 18 things you mentioned, what are the most important for you?
How could asking be a violation? Just give me an example, I can't think of one.
So it's probably more towards the lines of, you know, the type of family you have, the number of children you have, that you can't discriminate. Same thing with the fair lending laws, but in the meantime, we ask them on a mortgage application, how many children? What are their ages? So it's, they don't want you steering them. Not that you would, by asking that question, because it is pertinent to you finding them, to know their family
Well,
size
if they
and
have
things of
6
that
kids,
nature.
you're not, they can't get a 2-bedroom.
Two-bedroom house, right, so I would say in that context, like, it's pertinent to the puzzle, right? It's,
Okay,
yeah,
I just found it interesting how they run it.
yeah, they always do that, and it's,
Maybe they don't want you to ask.
yeah, they don't want you to discriminate or steer them in a direction due
I don't
to
know.
the number of people in the household or,
You know, maybe like
what
super
their
personal family
orientation is,
question.
Thank you very much.
things of that nature.
Yeah, I think that like, even like those intake forms, if you want to save yourself time and send it to them and say, hey, you know, I've got a phone call with you here. Better use of our time is I want you to be able to talk with, have you talk with all the key decision makers in the house, right?
Okay.
And then bring that along with the consultation, or better yet, why don't you send it to me in an email prior to our appointment at 3 o'clock on Friday, whatever.
Makes sense.
Then you're not really going down there.
Yeah, it just seems weird how they get to.
Yeah.
How can you find out what they need if you can't ask them this?
I would agree with it.
Okay,
Absolutely.
what you got for me? Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Mark, I'll see you later this afternoon. See you next week. Yeah. Okay, guys. Have a good day.
Hey, come on.
Yeah, you should.
How is the clean of organization?
Yeah, that's.
Yes, it is.
So like
collaboration center.
Did you ask people on the phone, like, what's your address again? So I called the right folder.
Well, when I do have something going on, I will get one of those.
Yeah, they're going to DocuSign now. Yeah, that's the area of focus now, I guess.
Holly has a folder system.
I have a folder.
Hopefully that's,
I have a
close that out. I know it's a lot.
Yeah. Well, maybe I should ask you about that too.
Yeah. You know what, just.
It's really just pretty simple, just every deal, just keep in a separate folder.
I'm super organized.
I
gotta work.
If I didn't, I would have been, I just like have folders, I got like.
Well, you're on a team too, so do you have an admin
I
that kind
have
of
an
keeps?
admin.
Oh,
That's
there
okay,
you go.
that helps,
That helps.
because we're not on a team, so we have to do
So
that.
you have to do everything.
Thank you.
So.
Thanks, Kevin, you were great.
No problem, thank you. You're going on. Thanks, appreciate
But
it.
I have a few listings.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Charles. Have a good day.
Thanks, you as well.
They all have their stuff.
Yeah.
We give them a few. So I have an instruction, so Richard has his, Jelani has his.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has where they're sitting and what model.
How many listings do you have right now?
And I need somebody that's in a model. Would you guys be interested in something like that?
It depends.
It depends, okay.
Yeah, like the weekend and how much time we have, yeah, it would depend.
All right.
We expect you there every
Good,
weekend?
how are you? Good.
That's a big commitment.
It is, but, you know,
How many
you
houses
could-
do you have on that street?
I have,
So do you just give them lock boxes and sit in one of them?
I have a model.
Okay.
One of them is
Okay.
a model.
Where's
So
your
I'll
house?
sit, south of 23 Mile, east of Gresham.
Oh,
So between Gresham and Sugar Bush.
yeah.
This is history.
Is your wife home today because of the holiday?
No, she's got work and stuff, so she's on with the whole campus.
Yeah, I don't really, I'm not the open house.
Super proud of her.
No, not at all.
Really? That's
I've done
Yeah,
enough.
she's,
And the two little ones too.
awesome job.
Wow.
Awesome job.
It took me 25 years to go back to work.
Yeah, you've got.
Hey, it's,
So good for her.
it's all good though.
You guys are like the power couple. And the most adorable thing ever. Your little guy is totally you.
Yeah.
He's so you. The smile, the look, he's so cute.
He keeps me busy,
He's
for
super
sure.
You guys spend a lot of time together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. It's been, I'm happy right now, because just,
Are you doing that?
Yeah.
I think so. We'll see.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's just dependent on.
Yeah, I got you.
Maybe we need
But,
to.
but don't wait too long, because I'm you can feel it. Like I have 4 and 5 years, and right now, it's so, they're hard together, they hang out together, they have common mutual friends, because they're so close to me.
Yeah.
Because you know, once you're in your 20s, someone could be 27 or 22, they all hang out together.
No.
It's true.
They all hang out together now, it's so fun.
Yeah, I think it was like, more along the lines of like, hey, we had so much change, so it's like, we need a little,
Yeah.
almost,
It's exciting to watch. Super exciting. We only had one when I met you, so.
No, and then it was
It all went downhill from there.
It's, absolutely.
Thank you, Darcy. Have a great one.
That's just how it goes. You don't usually sell your open house.
Right, yeah.
But you can get a lot of.
But you get a lot of new construction buyers for yours.
Not
Really,
necessarily.
sometimes they don't want to do it because.
No, they'll come in and they'll look and I'll ask, are you looking for new construction? They're like, yeah, not really. And then, you know, what are you looking, what are you looking for? A lot of times it'll be an older couple and they really don't want a colonial, so I'll help them find a ranch in the area. And again,
It is an option for buyers.
it is a great option.
And they come to you.
And then I'll have a sign-in form.
Okay, do they sign in?
Yeah, some people don't. They won't.
Open up, well, you did that one, but
Yeah.
I have a system on my iPad, where I try to get them to
Sign in, sign up. Oh, the iPad, no, they, ooh.
Bye, Holly.
So, yeah, I just thought I'd ask, but it is a weekend commission, or
Yeah.
commitment.
What time do you
I
do
mean,
it?
I would say to do, like, you could do a weekday, but by experience here in Chesterfield, I've done
So
weekdays.
weekends.
Nobody comes in.
Right.
It's weekdays.
So it's weekends. What time do you do them?
I'll do anywhere from 12 to 6. So sometimes.
A
I'll do
3-hour
12
window or
12
4-hour
Yeah,
window?
12 to 3.
Okay.
It's a 3-hour window. It's
Alright.
really not a lot because you can do a lot of your, our homework and
Yeah.
whatnot. I've found that during that time, unless it's busy. See, spring is coming. That's why I don't want to leave my son around. Just like
I know.
bye, because spring is when he's going to sell them.
Yeah. My weekends are booked until my kids' spring break. So the second week of March,
Mm-hmm.
I'd be willing to help.
Okay.
It's spring.
All right.
But up
that's
until
good.
then, my weekends are booked either getting business or doing events or stuff with my kids.
Got it.
But come
Okay.
that if you need help.
All right.
Second week in March. Their first week in March is their break from college.
Because in February we're thinking of going 2 weeks, and I thought I'd ask, but I'll look
What date?
elsewhere.
What date is it? Do you know?
Well, I'm going to be gone probably 2 weeks. The first
Super
and
Bowl
second
Sunday's the second.
of February.
Mm-hmm.
Well, nobody's going to come into the model, so I might as well not even
Right.
hold it that day.
Right.
And that's the thing, see,
Yeah.
I've done 2 weekends, and I've had 1 or 2 people come in because of the weather.
I know.
And I
And
don't
you
blame
can
'em.
cancel yours, right?
Yeah.
They're not. Yeah.
Definitely.
You just don't.
Yeah,
Put the
I
sign
just tell
out.
my admin. No, I just tell my admin,
Oh, okay.
cancel it.
See, that's nice.
Oh my
Makes
God.
me a little jealous. Not gonna
Are
lie.
you kidding? But, yeah, jealous, but then I do offer my sales gift to the team,
Oh, for sure.
right?
For sure.
But I do it willing,
Yeah, it's family too, so it makes it a little different.
not only family, but I don't have to worry about all that stuff, you know, just.
Well, and you
go
have
and say-
listings without lead generation too, like they're saying here, here's 6 houses on the street, you sit here. And you get buyers off that.
Yeah.
See, that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can hit me up, but I have to be honest, I'm pretty booked solid until there.
Until second week of March.
Yeah, but once you plan your trip, if there's a weekend in February, let me know, and I'll just double check my schedule.
Yeah, I'll
I
let
don't
you
mind
know.
you calling and asking at least.
Yeah, I will.
And you
I
can
will.
always post on Facebook too, there's a lot of new agents that wouldn't mind doing it too,
Right,
if you
right.
trust them in there.
That's the thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
They have to kind of know what they're talking about.
They gotta kinda know what they're doing.
Yeah, and at least be good with people.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you gotta feel that one out.
And, a lot of people, they kind of narrow it to really young realtors, and it's bad.
I had Charles come to one of my open houses.
Mhm.
The guy that was sitting behind me was 18. He's the same age as my son. Cracks me up. But I did an open house and I invited him and I said, here, this is the listing. Find it on the MLS, prepare. I want you to do all my tours. Just so he learned how to do that, how to study the property. He did fantastic.
Oh, he's so cute.
He's
I
so
just did a script and role play with
Yeah,
him.
he's super, super cute.
He is.
And his mom's an agent here too, so he's got a lot of.
So he's, you may not think he has a lot of knowledge.
Oh, for sure. He just, it probably doesn't even feel like he learned it. It probably just second nature. Exactly, yeah. You two, classes are going fast now, I'm at 7 out of 12. We only have 5 more.
I don't know what the difference is between that and regular wire transfer. I mean, I think it's the same thing, but kind of, it's just a bank term for a wire transfer.